3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to episode 141 of Ruse Radio. We are back at it again with a very special guest. Please introduce yourself, sir. Pull that microphone right up to you if you could.
Right up here?
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Beautiful.
What's up? I'm Ryan Kruger. I'm a fucking open mic comedian in the scene. We've been talking about music and jazz this whole time, but
music and jazz.
Yeah, recently I've been doing the stand-up thing.
So, when did you start stand-up?
A little over a year ago. I think it
Okay.
was like last 2 years ago in November. So this is 2022. I have like 2023, October, November.
And why? That's a good question. Why?
Well, I mean, I think, why does anybody get into comedy? You know, you're fucking around with your friends enough times, you get people to laugh, and either people tell you that you're funny, or you just get hooked on making people laugh, and then it's like, well, fucking let me try this.
Yeah, I feel like taking that jump, though, is really the thing. Like, I think there's a lot of people in the world who say, like, oh, I want to be a comedian. Like, they feel that way somewhere in them.
Yeah.
But they just don't ever take that jump. So, really, it's an interesting question to me just because, like, you never know. Like, how, like, and also, I always wonder, how does the first open mic go? How does that happen?
Fucking miserable, dude.
Exactly.
Well, okay, so kind of like we were talking earlier, is like I have a background in performing.
Yeah.
You know, I was getting up on stage from... Like, I started playing music when I was 10, 9, around then. And I guess just through school, you're getting up on stage. I was low brass, so I was in the back. Not a lot of people seeing you there. But then, like, in high school, I started doing, like, you know, big band jazz, stuff like that. Started doing, like, small group jazz, doing solos and stuff like that. And you get comfortable. You know, I've sang on stage. If I can sing on stage, I can talk on stage. Now, it's different because, like, when you're playing music... You can almost, like, if you do a lackluster musical performance, people are still going to be like, oh, yeah, you tried. That was really nice. But if you do, like, a lackluster or, like, you know, let's be honest, shitty comedy performance, nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah, what I always say is, like, so comedy, you get a live feedback right there in the moment that's going to be honest. There's no doubt about it. Like, they either laugh or they don't. Whereas music... people will just be nice.
Right.
They'll just be nice.
Yeah.
And you just believe them. You're just like, oh, I guess I did all right.
Right. But, dude, that honestly sent me in more loops when I was in music. Because, like, if I got done with a solo and I would hear, like, you know, I would be like, they hate me. Everybody here hates me. I suck at this. And then you run through that loop. And, I mean, one of my greatest motivators is shame.
Yeah.
So it's be like, well, I feel shame about this. Let's fix it. And then, but that doesn't exactly have a lot of gratification because then you go back into that loop.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, I got this one thing wrong. I'm the worst. And then you get better and it's like, oh, but I got this one thing wrong. I'm the worst. You know?
Right.
It's just a cycle.
Yeah, but the question is how much of that you hold on to, right? Because it's not necessarily bad.
Exactly.
It is what keeps you trying to get better a lot of the time, is that constant, like, doubt within yourself and
Right.
like, thing pushing yourself and telling yourself you're not what you could be, you know?
But
Like,
it is the
that's-
balance of keeping that positive perspective.
Yes.
You know? And it's like I just said, I think shame is a great motivator. I think shame is a good thing.
Yeah.
But you can't just live there.
Nah,
You
you'll
know?
go crazy.
You got to have shame and then this also almost compounding ego.
Yes.
To be like, I think I can do this. I deserve this.
Yeah, you have to be a crazy person a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
A little bit.
And so no, and I think part of that mindset of just like being able to be on stage and like make an ass out of myself per se. Like obviously with words you can make much more of an ass out of yourself.
Yeah.
And anybody who knows me, I've got a habit of doing that. So
See, that's what I worry. That's why, like, I know I can't go over to comedy. I can't even dip my toes in it because with music, I've established that I know what I'm doing. I have it down to like it's like a statue I've chiseled at for years and years and years. With comedy, it'd be like starting with a brand new block that I have to start to chisel at, you know. And I don't know if I'm ready to embarrass myself with my words, you know.
It'll only make you more powerful.
I know. I'll be like, oh my god,
like
they like that I'm stupid.
Right. Suddenly you'll become free. You know.
Like, this is who I was meant to be. See, like that's again like an interesting thing with like comedy in particular? Is it something like you just have to jump into and accept that you're doing it? You know,
Dude, I think it took me like seriously 4 months to figure out how to write a joke.
Really?
Like I just got so. I guess technically to say that I got into stand-up last or whenever I just said was kind of a lie. Because, like, I did a comedy show.
Okay.
After doing... So, it was a New Year's gig in, like, 2019, 2020 that we just played. I was in a brass band, trombone player, soloist. It was a lot of fucking fun. If you know, like, No BS Brass Band or, like... Snarky Puppy's not really a brass band, but if you just did like the brass part of them, that's like what we did.
Okay.
And we were doing this performance, and they had said that they were doing stand up prior to, and I had been thinking about doing stand up. I had like put it out there to my friends. It's like, hey, I think I want to try this, and you know, I'd gotten like a lot of feedback. I was like, yeah, dude, you could be, well, go for it, pussy, go for it. And I just kept bitching out. I just kept like having that cycle again of like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, you're not going to do this. Oh, I want to do this. And it was the first time I effectively did shrooms.
Of course.
And like, dude, I tried shrooms prior, and like I had done like 3.5 grams. I promise I'm connecting all of this. But I done like 3.5 grams, which is like a pretty big dose.
Yeah.
Didn't feel a damn thing. Didn't feel a thing. And so the next time I went into it, I did like 8 grams.
No. Are you serious?
Yes, I'm 100% serious. I did 8 grams, and we ground that shit up, and like apparently if you take it with lemon juice, apparently it makes the digestive process.
No, you did it with the lemon juice with the 8 grams?
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
okay, so
I took it as a shot.
So with the lemon juice, like that can like double the potency, is what they say.
Well,
you
I
didn't
guess,
know that?
Not at all. My buddy told me that it would make it hit more, and like my experience with psychedelics, like I had worked up to like 2, and this isn't a lot, but like 2 tabs of acid.
Oh, that's so crazy.
So
You basically did like 15 grams of mushrooms because like it almost doubles the potency. That's what people say.
That's hilarious.
They call it the businessman's trip is what they call it. So you have the mushrooms, you grind them up as much as you can. You get like what I've learned, you get a real lemon. Like this is some guy I met who does this. I don't know. But he gets a real lemon. He cuts up the lemon. And then, like, you grind it up, you squeeze the lemon in there, and then you just let that sit for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. You stir it every 5 minutes, and then maybe you put that in a tea, maybe you do whatever, but you drink all of it. My friend, he drank the solids, because he was worried it wasn't some of that stuff wouldn't come out, but they say it's all supposed to come out. It's the psilocybin, so it's I think it's the lactic acid, or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
It's the acid within the lemon that's processing the psilocybin like your stomach would have been.
Yeah.
And because of that, it has more of an effect, and it hits for, I think it's supposed to be for like 4 hours instead of 6 to 8 hours, like something like that. But anyway, continue your story. I'm just making sure that people realize that this
what
guy
I
did 15 grams.
after
crazy.
after unsuccessfully doing 3.5 grams, so it was all just like I'm just chasing the high, you know what I mean?
But you had no idea.
No
what you
idea.
were walking into.
And so like it starts out as any other night. You're fucking around with your friends. You're talking about weird, obscure things. You're watching the walls as the lights project like weird fucking patterns and shit.
A normal night.
A normal night. Well, so at one point we were going into the bathroom, shutting off the light, and just staring into the mirror. It was like you'd think it's creepy, or like if I was having a bad trip at the time, I could see it going bad.
Yeah.
But it was serene.
Yeah.
I feel like I was looking into this mirror of just this void of darkness, and I was like, I'm sure I see something here, but I'm at peace with it. Honestly, this is awesome. But then like, an hour or so later, I started to I was like, how do I feel? I just ingested this much like poison, essentially, because like that's what it is. You're getting poisoned and you're like dealing with the effects. And I was like, how does my stomach feel? And then this like heat started to radiate from my stomach just everywhere. I hit the floor. I start just sweating, and I'm like, guys, I gotta go to bed. And I just went upstairs, and it was just like you suck. Everything you do is bad. You need to like take yourself seriously, and you need to like actually go after your ambitions, you know?
The story's coming back around, folks.
I told you I was going somewhere with this. And then like the next morning I was like, yeah, you are a bitch. You gotta like actually follow through on something. So I reached out to the guy that was organizing the show, the brass band show, and I had asked him if they were still looking for like comedian spots. And they were like, yeah, sure. Didn't have to send anything in, didn't have to prove I was a comic in any way, shape, or form. I just showed up.
For a show?
For a show.
Wow.
Didn't get paid for it, but like like the first time I ever did comedy was a 15-minute set in like a
that's crazy too.
Like a storage garage.
With how many people were there?
Dude, like 50 to 60. Like it was for a storage garage, it was packed.
Yeah.
It was fucking packed. And like the first, I think I did, because dude, I have a tendency to ramble. As you've been here for this conversation, folks. I have a tendency to ramble. And the first time I get on stage, I was rambling a lot, dude.
Yeah. You probably played it to your advantage. You're probably like, I got 15 minutes. We're gonna have to ramble a little bit here.
Right, but like honestly, I did like maybe 5 jokes for 15 minutes. That's crazy. 5 jokes in 15 minutes. But like they all went well. Like I got a good response from the crowd, and I was like, okay, I am good at this. I can do this.
Yeah.
And then the last joke I did, silent. I was like, this is the one I'm ending with because I think this one's the funniest. And I got to the punchline. Nobody laughed. Someone in the very back of the crowd is like, hey, fuck you. And I was just like, all right, thanks everybody. Good night. And I don't even get off stage. Because I'm in the first brass band that plays. Yeah. So I just walk to the back of the stage, start assembling my trombone, and I come back, and I was like one of the main soloists for the band. And then people are coming off of hating me from my comic set into like, oh shit, this guy can play.
It's kind of a boss move.
What makes that such a boss move, you might ask? Why is that so freaking cool for a guy to go do a whole set of stand-up and then go over there and play on his horn? Why is that so cool to see the horny comedian? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the man just showed you one talent, and then he gives you another talent. He pulls it out of his back pocket. It's kind of mind-blowing. It kind of shifts your whole perspective on the world when you see something like that. You're like, whoa, I didn't know people were so duplicitous. I didn't know there was so much going on inside of that noggin of his. And I think that you can have that effect on people. It just depends how you do it. You got to find your own way to blow the people's minds. And if you do it enough times, you can be just like our homie Mr. Kruger here. And I ain't talking about Freddie, okay? It's called becoming a professional mind blower. And if you want to get in the mindset, you want to trick your brain into knowing that you are what you already are, then you get the t-shirt. You become the professional mind blower that you're meant to be. Okay, we got smalls, we got mediums, we got larges. We can make more sizes if you so please, and it's a great way for you to support this show. It's $25, shipping included. Okay, we're making it super easy for you to grab one of these shirts. Now, say you want to support the show, but you don't want to be repping the professional mind blower brand. Well, don't worry about it. I still got you covered. It's a little thing called Patreon. Patreon, folks. $5 a month, the price of a coffee, the price of a beer at the bar, and you are making this show possible. For real, I love doing this. I love bringing people in. I love highlighting the mind-blowingness of all these different individuals, the talents, the creativity, the unique intricacies that make us who we are. I love doing it. I love humanity. And the only way I can continue to highlight such a thing, to bring the people to you, is through you letting me know that that's what you want. So please, please, please consider supporting us through the Patreon, because for real, we're doing an episode every single 3 days, and the only way I can keep this train moving is through a little bit of monetary support, okay? We want some tech guys putting together this stuff for me, and I can't just make that happen on my own. I'm broke! So please consider helping me out. I really would appreciate it. I love you guys. I love everybody who makes this show possible. Also, I should say, on the Patreon, there is exclusive content. We've got my music. You're going to hear it before it ever comes out anywhere else. You're going to hear some songs that'll never come out anywhere else, only exclusively on that Patreon, and also exclusive podcast content on the Patreon. So it's all kinds of stuff. And again, I love you guys. I love everybody who makes this show possible, anybody who tunes in for more than 5 seconds. The fact that you've wasted any time on me at all is a blessing, and I really do see it for what it is, which is that, a blessing. So thank you so much for sticking around, for giving me any of your time. You know, the most valuable commodity any of us have is time. And so, you know, if you can't support on the Patreon, just thank you for being here, for real. I really do appreciate you guys. But if you want to support a little bit more, you want to support me in a way that I'm going to be able to make this show grow and get a little bit bigger, Patreon, okay? You want to make me grow, Patreon's the way to make that show. Let's be growers and showers. Okay. And with all that being said, Kruger, Mr. Ryan Kruger, what is the moral of that story you just presented to us, sir? Let me know.
When I had that experience, I knew that, like, okay, I can operate on stage.
Yeah.
And so when I moved to Chicago after, like, finally being done with jazz school, that, like, always sat in the back of my head. It's like, hey, this is something that you said you wanted to do. You have done it to an extent, at least. You know that there's something there. Go fucking do it. You're in Chicago. There's so many open mics. And I remember, have you ever been to O'Donnell's?
Sounds so familiar. I don't think I've been there, though.
They do the Gauntlet on Fridays.
No, but
they've done.
So Gauntlet, Amy Simon.
Yes.
What else do they do, though?
They do 2 other mics. Bon Traeger and Chelsea Gill have the Cyber Roast. Thursday nights.
Thursday nights.
Like
I
late.
messaged him. He said I could do music there. I should go to that one sometime.
That'd be interesting because their whole gimmick is roasting. So he made an app, and I respect the fuck out of it. He made an app that, like, you submit roasts, and then they project them on the screen, and, like, you read them as the comic at the end of the night or at the end of your set. So the entire room anonymously texts you and sends you roasts, and then you read them.
Roast about you?
Yes.
Dude.
It's great.
Oh,
They used to do it at Clattering.
Yeah.
And it was just the most degenerate open mic. It got, like, at the end of its time there, it started to get sad because it's like, it's the end of the night. You get the same, like, 5 dudes showing up every fucking week. And, like, we had a blast. Every now and then someone would write a new banger and it was just like, oh, dude, that ripped. Yeah. You know? But, no, the concept is so good.
Everyone's just making fun of each other,
right?
All night,
all night,
the same 5
all
dudes.
night. No one is like when I was there because I can't go to open mics on Thursdays because of my, like, work setup.
Yeah.
So on when I was there, no one would be looking at you during your set. They would all be looking at their roasts and just thinking of things that they can say that are mean instead of, like, actually. The only reason they're listening to your material is so they can make fun of you. So, like, the energy was terrible. The energy in the room was miserable, but it was so much fun.
Yeah, it's like both at once, you know?
Yes.
Everyone's just hating each other, but also, like, that's a funny, like, scenario, the fact that no one's even really, like, trying to enjoy what you're doing. Yeah. Everyone's just trying to fucking
we're all here to tear you down, but we're here to tear you down together.
Right. But how long that's still what they do, you're saying? Now it's somewhere else.
Well, now they do it at the O'Donnell's on Thursdays. But they have an app, so you, like, text it in. Oh. So, like, almost the idea of, like, everyone's not, like, staring and writing it at stuff. They're just, now it's almost more apathetic, where everyone's just looking at their phone.
Right. Wow. It's called, what is it?
Cyber Roast.
Cyber Roast. Because that's what it is. It's the Cyber Roast. And now it's the 2 things that happen at O'Donnell's.
Well, and then there's more.
O'Donnell's. There's more.
O'Donnell's is like a comedy hub for degenerates, you know. And then Tuesday, they got the word of mouth open mic.
Okay.
It used to be Duck Duck Goose, but now Tito and Abby Blaze run that mic. And it is a blast, dude. It is a blast.
Okay. Word of mouth, you say?
Yeah.
Word of mouth open mic, and that's on Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
Abby Blaze, I've had her on the show. I haven't met Tito, though. I don't know Tito.
Tito's hilarious.
Yeah.
Tito's hilarious.
Great name.
Yeah,
Good name.
very, very easy to remember.
Yeah, I know. How are you gonna forget a Tito? You don't meet very many Titos.
Dude,
in
he's a
life.
character, you know. He's he's a Puerto Rican dude. Wears a bandana a lot. Wears like fingerless gloves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my kind of guy.
Yes.
I love it. Do you I've noticed, like, do you normally wear pink? I've seen you wearing pink before.
I just rock this hat, dude. I have like 2 beanies, but this one's comfortable, and I just literally wear this all the time. I wear this to work.
Dude, not many people can make pink work though. Like that's what I think is impressive about it.
I think
it
it's
works
almost
on
just
me.
like I make it work out of just forcing it.
Yeah.
You know, you see me in this, like, I'm a giant who just wears a pink hat, dude. Like, you know, what are you gonna do?
It's fashion.
What are you gonna do?
That's how fashion works. You literally think that way. You just think I'm just gonna force it. I'm gonna make them look at me, and then eventually it catches on. That's fashion.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
actually like
I'm an icon.
You're an icon, is what I'm trying to tell you. You should keep it up.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Ryan Kruger, fashion icon.
Yeah, that's the title of this podcast. But yeah,
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
starting comedy to now though, like from when you started to now, how I'm sure there's like a massive transition in the way that I mean, even like you said, for the first, what you said, 6 months, 3 months, you didn't even know how to write a joke.
Like 4
months, yeah.
I remember, so kind of a tangent on that. Like I've had a buddy describe my joke writing process as like stomping rakes. So like I'll come on stage with like a loose idea of a premise.
Yeah.
You know, not even have like, maybe I'll have something that I think is funny that I want to say.
Okay.
But I'll go up with that premise over the course of like 10 mics and just do little alterations here and there. And then eventually it's like you stomp on a rake. People laugh. I'm just as surprised as everybody else.
And that's like, you record it and all that, I imagine, and
I try to record a lot of sets, but a lot of times it's just like, if something worked, I just write it down immediately. You know what I mean? Like whatever outline or whatever like structure I did that was different, I'm like, okay, there's something there. But then like, how do I get back to that? And how do I expand on that?
Right. Stomping rakes. That's okay. And so you just have like a bunch of different ideas when you're going on stage then? Like you're bringing up all this different stuff that you've just been thinking about, and then one of them hits is kind of the idea?
Right,
You're just
like
throwing
around
a
a
bunch
topic.
of shit at the wall. Okay.
Around a topic.
Okay.
Like and that's like how I've found my writing to work best.
Yeah.
Is if I just go at something, because I suck at sitting down and actually writing out a joke.
I mean, to me, that always just seems... That's like, that's why I like asking about the writing process for any comedian or even musicians.
Absolutely.
Because everybody's different. Like, everybody does it different. And, like, yeah, to me, like, the idea of writing out exactly what you're going to say, like, bullet points make sense to me with comedy.
Yes.
I can understand that. But I could never understand writing verbatim a
Yeah.
joke. That just sounds like how?
Like throughout time and throughout experience of like doing a joke, you get to a structure.
Yeah.
You get to like phrases and words because like you want to cut the fat down and get to like the actual gist of what's funny.
But you learn that through telling the joke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you can sit down, and unless you're like a super good joke writer, you've been doing it for a while, you have like the output to know that you're able to do this.
But that's from experience.
Right.
Yeah. It's like I've done this a million times. I know what works.
Right.
Yeah.
I know the structure. I know how to deceive the audience.
Exactly.
Shit like that.
But joke writing in general is just crazy to me. Like just the fact that, because like, okay, so I've heard like some people they'll like write out a big stream of consciousness. They'll just write like an essay basically about
Yeah.
what they're thinking about, and then they'll extract jokes from that. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
Right.
guess.
Essentially, you're just ranting.
Yeah.
You know,
I
and-
mean, we all ran.
Exactly. And like, why waste the paper and the pencil to do it? You know, I'll either do it in the car. Sometimes you record just a rant of yourself.
That's a good idea.
I've been thinking about doing like a podcast or something where I just rant about something.
Dude.
Like just come up with a topic and try to rant for like 15, 20 minutes.
So here's the thing. If you're capable of doing that, you should do it. Like that would be my advice. Like if you're capable. So say like for one, the video and the audio, those are two things. But
Right.
if you know you can do those two simple things, like, and that a lot of that you can even outsource if you're not trying to do all the fancy stuff. You're not trying to put all the bells and whistles on it, right? You can even record the shit with your phone if you really want to.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, you can get it done. And you can get it done easily. And matter of fact, like, I would say just start doing it as soon as possible if you're thinking about doing it, because it's probably going to suck at first, and that's fine anyways, right?
Dude, yeah.
But
like anything.
When I think about, like, solo podcasts, only so many comedians really do it.
Right.
And only so many comedians can really do it. So if you're the type of person that can rant for 20, 40 minutes about anything, dude, like, people will watch you. I guarantee you. And if you do it on a regular basis, you'll become a professional ranter. You'll get really. Have you seen Bill Burr?
Yeah, dude. Bill
guy?
Burr, Tim Dillon, all these guys.
Those are the people I was thinking of, where it's like they can do a proper solo episode because they do them all the time.
Right.
Theo Von used to do way more solo episodes. He doesn't do it so much anymore, but he used to do a lot of them. Now he does them every now and then. But still, like, to be able to pull that off, like, I don't do that with this show because it's fucking, to me that sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'll do solo episodes every now and then,
Okay.
if I can justify it, if I have a topic I can talk about,
Right.
Like Giannis Papas, he's another one I think of, I guess, because he was doing his solo show I think he still does it. I don't know, because I know History Hyenas is back, but he was doing, it's called the Giannis Papas Hour. It used to be called something else, but yeah, if you can, you should. Yeah,
we'll give it a whirl,
dude. I'm telling you,
we'll give it a whirl. I got to get more comfortable with just being straight up schizophrenic on the mic.
No, dude, that's the best part.
Yeah, dude, I know. It's just like it's one thing to come up with like ideas and premises that I can get schizophrenic around and just like find funny within there. I'm all about it, But to just let myself free alone on a mic, it's like, ooh, we're playing with fire, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. But like, okay, so one thing that I usually find is like when I watch the podcast back, dude, I'll say shit I never even would ever say out of that context. Like, I'm surprised I even fucking like, I'll laugh at shit I said when I'm watching it back.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize what I was saying. And it's like, it'd be the same thing if you do that yourself. Like,
Absolutely.
And even the shit you think is stupid, like, you'll think, oh my God, what am I doing here? You watch it back and it's actually funny. Or you watch it back and you're like, this is actually good.
Sure.
You just have to do it. I'm telling you, because like, it's just like starting stand-up comedy. It's the same fucking thing, right? You think about doing it and you think about it and, oh, should I? And then the
I gotta
moment
do another
you start,
15-gram trip if I'm going to do this, dude. That's what's got to happen.
dude. Hey, I got you. I right over here.
Oh my God.
In this cupboard. We'll make something happen, man. How long you got today? How much time you got to do it?
Oh, dude, I'm off today. I'm free.
All right, yeah. You'll be
Gonna
sitting
hit
here.
some open mics later, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna I'm gonna dose you, and then I'll like put a blanket over you and spin you around. So nightmare. Yeah, it'll be fucking a great day. Great content. This is like an 8-hour. This is an 8-hour podcast. Just skip to hour 6 right now.
Yeah, if you want to see what happens,
Yeah.
This is the before.
Yeah, right. This is when it was all good. Before his life changed forever, and his podcast started.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. I mean, really though, this is episode like 141, and I feel like with podcasts, it's one of those things too where it's so like it's just like comedy in the sense of the barrier for entry. So that's what we were talking about right before we started. I'm glad it came all back around because I wanted to say that was a great observation. You said that the people who go to open mics, it's like the same exact thing as how like there's so many bad comedians like that go to open mics because anybody can go,
right?
And it's the same exact thing as how there's so many bad rappers because anybody can be a rapper. Like everything is oversaturated.
Yeah, anybody can talk.
Yeah,
it's the same because we were talking about like different instruments and all that shit. Because like saxophone players that's an oversaturated instrument because everybody plays saxophone. Everybody who plays saxophone needs to be fucking killer if they want to actually play.
Right.
Then when you get down to like rap and comedy, it's like anybody can talk. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people think that they can rap. A lot of people think that they're funny, and like, not to say that you should stop, but maybe just don't publish everything.
See, but the problem is like, it goes both ways. Because
because
if you're somebody who's good, you still do have to kind of publish everything. But if you're somebody who's bad, everyone else is just subject to that.
Right. It's a bit of a double-edged sword.
You kind of just have to like accept that the freedom is going to give you terrible things.
Right.
You're gonna have bad.
Yeah.
And the bad is gonna be it'll outweigh the good. That's the problem. Is oversaturation is inevitable.
Right.
Because there's going to be more bad than good. It's the way of things.
Right. I've heard one of my buddies described it as like almost putting out like the journey. You know what I mean? So like you put stuff up when you're earlier in your career when you know you're not great.
Yeah.
But then you can go back and look at that and be like, oh, look how far I've come.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's hard to see through the shame, but
I mean, I think about I try to think about that all the time, dude, because I think about that with like stuff I make now. I think about it like I know for a fact that what I'm making now I think is awesome. But if I go back and look at it like 3 months, 6 months from now,
yeah,
I'll be like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
And you always think it's not gonna happen. You always think like it can't happen. But the good part of that is you're seeing the progress in yourself every time that happens. You're seeing it. You can literally see it. The fact that you can even see that wasn't what you would do now is you seeing progress.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. It's like every now and then I'll revive a joke that I haven't done for like maybe 6 months and just be like, let's see if I can find something here. Let's see if there's something here that I missed.
Yeah.
And usually I can bring it back and I can be like, oh, well, okay, I know that's better now.
Right.
I know I'm better at crafting through this, but like back then I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like it's just like experience, like naturally accumulating in your brain.
Right.
That's all it can be. It's just all those moments that you've done it. See, it's hard for me to conceptualize that with like writing music, because I mean, like, of course that plays a role.
Right.
But just like every time you're just writing a song. Every time you write a joke, you're just writing a joke. You're not thinking of the million jokes you've written before.
Right.
But it does play a role.
And I was even just thinking about that in terms of music too, because like I've done composing, I've done like writing songs and shit like that. And it almost gets to this point where it's like, I need to do this perfect the first time, because when I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah, that's how I've always been with writing things. And I try not to ever rewrite stuff.
Right, yeah. But like with jokes, you're just getting up stage and you're just telling a fucking joke. You're just trying to make people laugh. So if you come back to something that you used to talk about, you're gonna come at it with like a bit of a different perspective.
Yeah,
and it's easier to open yourself up to those new perspectives. I think in jokes than it was for me to open them up in like music.
Yeah, that makes sense. Why so though?
Because it felt like once I've got a project done, I kind of want to move on to the next project, because like in music, I feel like you have to spend so much more time and so much more effort into like the actual work on that. Whereas jokes, it's just like, I wrote a couple sentences. You didn't have to structure chords. You didn't have to structure rhythms. You didn't have to structure phrasing and all that shit.
Yeah.
Which I guess is just more to say that like my thinking about it needed work, because obviously you can open up a project that you used to do and update it. It's going to be some work. It's going to be more daunting, I guess, than just changing a sentence in a joke.
Huh. There's like Kanye, he comes into my mind like with like somebody who, it's just because he produces everything he does.
Yeah.
But he's changed his mixes so many times after they've come out.
Yeah.
Which is kind of that same thing where it's never done for him.
Right.
I can see if I was like making my own beats, I could understand that more. Because I mean, in a way, it's never done. Like in a way, there is always something like, you can fix or add or change. Yeah.
Are you into MF Doom?
Oh yeah.
Well, because he'll put out either the same rap, the same lyrics over multiple beats, or he'll do like, again, just, I guess that's saying the same thing, but yeah, like he'll do the same song with either multiple beats, or he'll do the beat with different lyrics over the top of it. You know what I mean? So he really plays around with that stuff, and he's always been one of the rappers that I've just been enamored with.
Yeah, dude, MF Doom is. When did he pass away? Just a couple years ago. Yeah, because I mean, he's one of those people who like always was like an old school. Like he never ever switched that up or did anything to change. Like he's just got a perfect flow, like a fucking impeccable flow.
The way he plays with words, and like phrasing. He talks about all this like really nerd shit. Yeah, like him, Czarface. Yeah, they're great. Honestly, just I love nerd rap. Love nerd rap.
Dude, nerd rap done right. I've heard some bad nerd rap, and I was like, oh, whoa. Like I remember I was on the red line. I wish I could remember like the lyrics of the song. It was like I'm intergalactic, I'm outer space. Like it was literally like he was trying so hard.
Hit him with the buzzwords, but no content.
Yeah, like I'm psychedelic, I'm in your face, I'm intergalactic, I'm out of space, I'm human race, See, I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna make it too good, and it's
I'm too good to be this bad.
It was bad, dude. So yeah, that was it. But nerd rap done right is great. Like, cause the thing is, like, being a nerd has always kind of been cool, but now it's like recognized as cool. But like, you know, like it used to be like so for rappers to rap about like nerd shit that didn't used to be like a thing you could do. Now rappers can do it. Before that was not like that. Okay, like we're in a whole new world. It's cool to rap about nerd shit now.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Well,
you
I
can
mean,
bring up some fucking nerd stuff, and everybody's like, "Cool, Yu-Gi-Oh, awesome." You see a Yu-Gi-Oh bar.
There's more access to that kind of media, you know, and it's less, I guess, like not demonized. That's too harsh, but like less looked down upon, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, when I went to like a private Catholic elementary school, and I was into anime. Nobody knew. I'm running around like Naruto in the fucking Catholic schoolyard.
Yeah.
Was what? Just this big dumb ginger kid running around like Naruto. Nobody knows what I'm doing. Dude. I mean, like, and now it's like I can wear a One Piece hat out and living in Chicago and shit, bigger city, but like 5 people throughout the day will be like, "Oh, hell yeah, One Piece."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So different.
It's a whole new world.
Nobody knows what I had to suffer through.
I think that's cool. I had a friend who would do the same thing, and it's funny because he was like my ginger friend, and he lived across the street.
There's a type. There's a type.
Shout out Alex Donosky. That was his name. He got me into Kingdom Hearts. I remember he was the one who probably got me into that game. But also, like, he used to do the Naruto run.
Yeah.
And like, it's a very specific run. If you've ever seen it, you know what it is. You know, it's you throw the arms behind the back, and you kind of like.
You lean forward and you run.
Somehow it makes you faster.
Yeah, your arrow, dude. It's like geese. They go in the shape of a V. Mm-hmm. That's
Naruto's
totally different.
Well, no, I think it's the same.
You think it's the
same? Yeah. But so you do that, and then I was just one time we got in a fight with the neighbor kid. Shout out Bradley. And so he was my neighbor.
Shout out Bradley. We beat your ass.
Yeah, dude. I remember this. This was like my kid fight. So like, what the fuck did they? So there were 2 older kids, and like they were egging me on, and they were trying to get me to say something like inappropriate. And I remember like I was like 8 or 10 years old. What did I say? Like, dude, I can't remember. Like. Oh, I wish I could remember, because it was like I was yelling in a voice like this. I was like, "You beat the clap, I clap your rap." Like they wanted me to say something, and like it was the older kids, and they got me to say like I was gonna clap his ass or something like that. It was something stupid, right? And I think like maybe I'll slap your ass. Or maybe they got me to say something gay. That's probably what it was. They were they were
older
15,
kids.
I was 10. Okay, they probably got me to say something gay, and I just didn't know because I was 10. That's probably what really happened. That's why I can't remember. I repressed that shit. I'm like, I'm not gay.
You got raped by these older kids.
Yeah.
Oh, you might have to censor that. I'm sorry.
I left that part out of the story, dude. Try not to say that.
Sorry, that was 34 minutes in. That was 30.
Thanks. But anyway, everything's flooding back into my memory. Everything's flooding back. So, the kid, he's looking over, and like we're beating up Bradley. Oh, dude, I remember. I think I had a weapon. I even feel like I had like a toy baseball bat, and I hit him with it. Like, I feel like we did a savage fight for a bunch of 8 and 10-year-olds. Like,
those are savages. Those are savage years, dude.
Yeah. Well, that's when you're the savagest. Yes.
Right.
Because
you
it's
don't have
all...
any construct of how to function in society. Yeah. You're just like, this older kid is trying to besiege me and my friend.
Yeah.
Kill him.
So, but the kid was my age. The kid was our age. It was the older. So the older kids were my friend's older brother, Alex's older brother, my aforementioned Naruto lover, and then also his friends, so the two older kids, right? And so they got me to say, like, you know, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit or whatever they got me to say.
Yeah.
And then the fight happens. And I remember Alex, this is like the part that blew me away, is he used his Naruto moves. Like, he was like karate fighting this guy like he had seen in the show, in the anime.
You gotta hit him with the hand signs, you know what I mean?
And
It's
it
like,
worked.
oh, fireball jutsu.
He did that shit. He like did that and then turned around and did like a 360 roundhouse kick. And it looked cool.
That's everything I ever dreamed of, dude. That's everything I ever dreamed of. No, God.
How could I ever forget that, dude? That's like when I think of Alex Danosky, the neighborhood Naruto loving ginger. That's what I think is him in that fight, like using the
busting out moves.
Because like that's what you would always want. Like you'd always want to use those in battle. And
you hit him with that like downside BA, YX combo.
He jumped up and did a crane kick and shit. It's like I didn't even know you could do that, dude. I didn't know either. It just came out of me.
You study the craft enough, it just comes out.
Yeah. You know? Dude, imagine that. Like, you get in a fight, like, today at your age, and you just start busting out fucking Naruto moves. Like, you're not even doing proper karate or anything. Right. You're just fucking throwing out hand signs and fucking... Dude, that would actually be so cool if you won the fight. Like, people would... They want to think you're a nerd, but they also, like, are looking at you like, that was cool, though.
He did win.
That was pretty fucking cool. Like,
but then
winning with style.
Winning with style, yes. But then the downside is you could try to hit him with that backflip kick and then you just land on your face and break your neck.
Hey man,
that's the most embarrassing way.
That's the risk you're taking by doing this.
High risk, high reward. You know
exactly.
It's not for everybody.
I saw a video of a guy. It was just like a couple days ago, and he had a pair of shorts, and he like jumped and threw both of his feet into his shorts at the same time. And that's some high risk, high reward shit.
Oh yeah.
You know, you fail that, you break your neck doing that, dude.
That's
breaking your neck putting your shorts on. It'd be embarrassing.
That's at very least a broken nose, dude. Like you're lucky if you just get a broken nose on that.
You have to practice that. Like I've seen John Cena take his shirt off in one swoop, but that's different.
But that's
not the same.
Even that's a skill, dude. You just yank it on the shoulders. Ow, fuck.
There was a video where he explained it, and it's actually like he made it look easy. So you have to like throw your arm up, and then I think you just, okay, you gotta have a loose shirt. I think
you can't do that with a tight shirt.
No,
you can't peel off a shirt and slip out of it simultaneously.
Maybe John Cena could. Not everybody's John Cena.
Not everybody's John Cena.
Did you ever fuck with wrestling? You ever watch wrestling?
No, dude. And I've been asked about that a lot.
Somehow you seem like the type. Yeah,
I know. Just somehow.
I don't know what it is. I've always loved wrestling, so that's why it's funny to me. It's like you just like when I think of like the people they're advertising to, it probably is like you guys,
dude. And especially the fact that I'm such a nerd. You know what I mean? Like it's there. Like I should. In any other reality, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm like the most hardcore wrestling fan. I got into jazz music.
Not even just that, dude. Like something about your personality. Like it seems like it'd be well acclimated to you. I'm surprised. That never happened.
Oh fuck. I should do wrestling. I should get into wrestling.
It's one of those things like if you deep dive into it and you care about it, like the same way you were talking to me about jazz. Because you didn't talk about it too much on this podcast, but this guy knows about jazz, okay? If you had that same passion...
You like jazz?
If you had that with wrestling, because I'm the same way with wrestling. I could talk about just fucking go on and on about it with like shit that I think everybody might know, but it's like shit like you'd have to fucking watch wrestling for years to even care enough to know that shit.
Exactly. To connect with the layman.
Yes.
You know?
And I'm translating it as I'm talking to you. I'm like, okay, so there's this guy. you gotta know these other things.
We were trying to talk about triplets earlier, and I had to go back to the Congo Square, you know?
Yeah, right. Let's take this back a bit. Like, I need you to understand. That is how it works, though.
Yeah.
And so, wrestling goes deep. Like, wrestling is one of those things, on the surface, it seems silly. It seems like it'd be basic, and there's not much to it. But then there's all this meta shit, and there's all, like, that's kind of the magic of it.
What convinced me that it was because when I heard about wrestling when I was like a kid, I was like, that's stupid. Why would I watch that? And then now it's like I've heard a bit about like plot lines and like shit that's like dynasties and stuff like that, where I'm like, okay, maybe there's something to this, you know? But I never had the step to be like, okay, I gotta watch this.
Yeah,
You
they
know?
tried. They tried because, like, I mean, The Rock came back last year, and that actually did bring me back. Like, because I watch it. Like,
Do you
I'll
like?
keep up
What are your
with it.
feelings on The Rock?
I think The Rock is. He's like an interesting dude. I think he's super talented, and he's probably a cool guy. He's probably a cool dude to hang out with, but also like, dude, I don't know. Like, okay, so. There's just like the random things that happen that remind you, like, okay, like maybe that wasn't a good move. Like, what was that thing he did with Oprah? What was that thing that happened? It was like they were funding. There was something about funding, but then again, like people protest all sorts of shit. I don't know the details, but everybody got upset with The Rock and Oprah because they came out and they said they were doing some type of fundraiser for. It had to do with Hawaii, but I think the money didn't actually go to Hawaii, or there was something about it where like,
wow,
yeah,
it's so surprising.
Exactly. And so like the thing is, if I met The Rock, dude, I fucking probably love him. I'd probably be like, oh,
Right.
you're a great dude.
Right.
But if The Rock ran for president, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, and The Rock is also a fan. So if you're talking like promos and wrestling.
Sure.
The Rock's one of the best. He's
Yeah.
just one of the best of all time. You can't deny it. You know, the problem is now is he's not quite the same as he used to be. And so like last year when he came back, he was doing a heel run, which was crazy, dude. And how it worked, it was cool how they did it because like, so this was, I think, right after Vince McMahon left. And so The Rock came back and it was like, there's this whole fucking running storyline they were doing with Cody Rhodes and like winning at WrestleMania before, and it was his story. He's got to finish the story. It's
Sure.
corny shit, but that's what they were doing. I didn't like it, but I can understand how you could make that sell tickets. So
Yeah.
that was what they were doing. And so everybody's behind Cody Rhodes and him finishing his story. And then with that, you had The Rock come back. And so with that being said, with Cody Rhodes finishing his story, he faced Roman Reigns at the WrestleMania before, and Roman Reigns won. And so Roman Reigns was like, I think he was on this like undefeated streak or something was going on with Roman Reigns. I can't remember, but it was like a thing. I think he was just the champ. Yeah, he was the champion for the longest amount of time. He's like a record-breaking champion. So everybody thought Cody Rhodes was going to take the title off him, and Roman Reigns finally going to lose the title. But nope, Roman Reigns still has the title for a whole other fucking year. And so he's going to finish the story. Oh my God, where he's going to face Roman Reigns next year at the WrestleMania again, and he's going to get the belt, and he's going to finally finish that story. And then fucking The Rock shows up, and he's like, there's just a promo that where he came out, and it was like the big Rock return. And of course, like The Rock, everybody flips out because it's the fucking Rock, dude.
Right.
And he walks out to the ring, and he just stares at Roman Reigns, and he like looks at his belt, and he looks at him. And then the entire audience is like, boo, boo. And so, like, the whole response to that from the actual real-life WWE audience was like, no, fuck that. We don't want The Rock to come in and then face Roman Reigns. Because that would make that whole Cody Rhodes thing you guys were doing make no sense. It's like you guys were leading, and it's so obvious what fucking happened. The Rock came in, and he, like, I think The Rock owns WWE. He had just made a deal where he has like a third of the ownership now. Or
Okay.
he's part of one of the people who runs it.
Yeah.
But that wasn't how it was before.
Yeah.
And so that happened right before this. So everybody knows this going into that. And they're seeing that, and they're like, fuck you, Rock. Like, you're a sellout. Like, we don't want you to take this away from us just because... And we know what's happening. You're, like, appealing to the casual audience. You're the guy who comes along who's not really a wrestler, but he just comes back to sell the tickets for WrestleMania, and then you disappear for another year. Like, we don't need this. But that's what really happened. And so then there was a press conference they did not long afterwards, and, like, The Rock was going to be there, and Cody Rhodes was going to be there. And this is where, like, The Rock turned heel. And it was such a surprise because, like, the idea of you taking your biggest sell, The Rock, and then turning him into a bad guy it would be unheard of. Like, no one would think of that because it'd be the opposite of what you'd think you should do.
Right.
Because he's the good guy. And then, like, The Rock, like, just, like, 2 weeks later, he was coming out and calling the entire audience crackheads. And it was golden content, dude.
Nice.
You gotta, if you're gonna watch, like, recent Rock shit, you gotta go and watch when he did his heel run. He would do promos on Instagram, right? He would film a 10-minute video on Instagram of him, like, he was saying, fuck you, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Like, what? What is this? And it was The Rock from the late 90s. It's him reprising that character.
Yeah, right,
and
right.
that's The Rock we want to see. And so if you're asking me how I feel about that, I'm telling you, I know about wrestling. This is exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
If you're asking, like, The Rock, when he's a heel and talking shit, he's the best.
Okay.
He's the
Okay.
best. Yeah. He's so good at it.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that drew me to wrestling is like you could be a bad guy and you can just talk shit. Andy Kaufman,
Right.
like, bringing it back to comedy, Andy Kaufman, he was inspired by wrestling. And like what he was doing was he would like cut. Like he even liked doing wrestling and fighting girls and being a heel. He literally did that.
Liked fighting girls. Yeah, as a man, I
you
like
seen
fighting
that?
girls. No.
He would go out and say, "I can fight girls. I'll be any girl here." He literally did that, dude.
Oh my god, I've got a buddy who says that they're really into Andy Kaufman, and just every single thing I hear about him, I'm like, that makes sense.
He's the man.
That makes sense.
He's like the originator of troll culture. Truly.
Sure.
Like if you were gonna go all the way back to where it really starts, I think it's him because he trolled audiences before people even knew what that was.
Yeah.
And he did it masterfully. Like
Yeah.
he did it on Letterman. Like there was one episode of Letterman where he like was begging for money. Like he acted like he was like, yeah, he like told the super sad story and he killed the vibe and then he started walking over to the audience and panhandling. That's how the episode.
Well, dude, I love shit like that. Like Norm Macdonald is one of my all-time favorite comedians.
Yes.
And it's like literally some of my favorite jokes are just him going on talk shows, telling a 5-minute story,
Yeah.
leading to the dumbest fucking punchline you've ever heard.
But the joke is him telling the joke.
Exactly. It's just him stringing out this joke that it's like a street joke. You
Yeah.
know, it could have been 2 sentences.
I'm sure you've seen the one with the moth goes to a
Oh,
therapist.
dude,
Yeah.
the light was on.
Yeah,
that
Leading
is
to the
one of
light
my that is one of my favorite fucking jokes. It's just like I don't, my son, I don't love him anymore. I look at him and I see the shame of what I thought I would once be. So, why are you here? You need to see a therapist. Oh, the light was on. Oh my God, dude. It's so good. And like stories about Norm where he would like, after a gig, if the crowd would be like, they loved him, he would just stay in the room, in the green room and shit like that. But if they hated him, if he bombed, he would be at the front door saying bye to people.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
Love that shit.
I think he was about that life.
Right.
Truly.
Right. Just
You know?
messing with people and then like truly believing in his jokes.
Yeah.
And that's like a lot of the stuff on SNL when he was like the what is that segment?
The news one though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It bothers me that I can't think of that off the top of my head. But like there would be so many jokes when the audience just wouldn't give a fuck and he would just stare them down with that shit-eating grin.
I mean, like there's the big like wasn't it the OJ joke that he wasn't supposed to tell?
Like every OJ joke. He did.
He told so many of those.
There's
right.
compilations of like fucking 40 minutes of OJ material that the entire time you hear like with Don Omeyer and all that shit where it's like they were buddies and he like specifically told him shut it with the OJ stuff and then he got fired.
That's what I was thinking of because like that's exactly what it is. It's like he was so committed to it's Weekend Update, by the way. That's
Weekend Update.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But he was so committed to the bit that he was willing to lose his job over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like in my opinion, like he is one of the like he's definitely on my Mount Rushmore. You know what I mean?
So I like got into Norm right around when he was doing the talk show he did on YouTube.
Yes. The Norm Show.
Yeah, was that what it was? The Norm Macdonald Live. That's what it was called.
Yes.
And what sucks, dude, is you can't even really find it anymore. I don't know
Yeah.
where you're supposed to find it. He did a thing on Netflix that was an extension of that.
I think that was the Norm Show.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Yep. But Norm Macdonald Live was on YouTube, and they did like 20, 30 episodes. That's how I found him.
It was like
literally
him, Adam Egget, and then a guest.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's how I found Adam Egget, too.
Yep.
And so there was that, and then he did a thing, if you ever saw him on the YouTube award show that they did.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
golden Norm again. I mean, like, because he just did not believe in it at all.
Right. Right. He didn't care. He was just there to just fuck around. And it's like, that energy is just everything.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, like, really, I think, like, it's a perfect example of what you should strive to be as a comedian, as most... Like really as anything, but as a comedian especially, is like just being able to be that all the time and not put it on and not like he was just that. Someone that I find to be very similar to him is Harlan Williams, if you're familiar with him. I think he commits to the bit just as much as Norm did. And
100%.
they came up together like they knew each other. But it just I think he's one of the few people I can look at and feel like it's like the same type of energy that he would bring to something.
The difference I see is that Norm is more apathetic.
Yeah.
Whereas Harlan Williams is higher energy, more aggressive.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It works for both of them. Love what they do.
That's a great observation because Norm Macdonald will get you. You won't even realize he got you.
Yeah. You might realize it like a day later. You know what I mean?
There's that clip of him on Larry King, and he's like saying, "What was it? It was about being gay, something about being gay." And he said he's a closeted gay man.
Oh yes, yeah. He's a closeted gay man. I'm a closeted gay man, but I'll never tell. Yeah. He's like, "So you're gay? What are you What are you revealing to me now?" So, nothing.
And like so much about Norm that's so great is like again, it's just who he is that makes him so funny. It's literally like how he says and acts, like how he is who he is.
Delivery, largely.
Yeah, which, you know, I like always think about with comedy's one where you can really observe it, like where people who you think are good now, you go back and look at them when they like started, like just like established comedians. You can find their stuff from the 90s and it's nothing like what they did later. Even Norm,
right? You
go back and look at Norm in the 90s and it's nowhere near what he was. He still had that same exact intonation and that same exact personality, but it wasn't like chiseled out like it became over time. Because dude, like Norm is. Comedy's another one too where you can do it for 30, 40 years and just get better and better and better and better and better.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's one of those people.
Any craft, like, you know, the worst thing to see is someone who like within their art or within their craft, they just like plateau.
And they stagnate.
You know what I mean? At least like try shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, like that's one reason like it's good to like challenge yourself, you know, like someone told me that if you're trying to get better, like to like Claire, it was Claire Parlett. She was on here and she was talking about like if you're trying to get better at something, like focus on one thing at a time. And I think that's really smart. Like just try one thing at each show. Don't try 10 things at once, but just try one thing at each show. And eventually like you'll just get better at each thing. And that's smart. Like, okay, so for this set, I'm gonna try to make some type of crowd work. I'm gonna try my very best. That's what I'm focusing on tonight. Nothing else, but just that. I'm gonna do one good thing of crowd work. Or whatever. Like I'm gonna do one joke that's about like something silly. I'm gonna do one silly joke. I'm gonna do one act out joke. Like and then like you want to just like push those boundaries and see what you can do because you see it all over the place, dude. People just. I was talking to my friend Ethan Cohen, Rabbi, dude, and like we said on here that it's like people become like a Flanderized version of themselves, and I thought that was like a genius way to put it. You know,
yes,
you become a parody of yourself over time if you don't try new shit.
Absolutely,
you literally do. It's
absolutely
crazy, and you can see it happen to people.
Yeah,
you can literally see it happen.
It's like
you just look around.
How do you get them out of that loop? You know,
they have to break themselves out of it.
They got to do 15 grams of mushrooms. Yeah.
I think that's the key, really. That's really it. We're psychedelic gurus, dude.
Yes. A shaman, if you will.
I mean, honestly, I've written many of songs on said doses. Yeah, done those types of things. For me, I think it's all about like I always look at it like if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's not. You know, some people I would never ever say that you need that, but other people, you know, it might be exactly what you need. Who knows?
Well, just you know. I'm not advocating that anybody do drugs.
No.
I'm not advocating that anybody do drugs, but I have fun. You know, I enjoy. You know,
I look at mushrooms like similarly to even like alcohol in the sense that as long as you're in like a good environment, you know nothing crazy is gonna happen. Like you get super drunk, you get wasted, you don't know where you lose consciousness. You don't even know where you are.
In my opinion, alcohol is far more dangerous than shrooms.
Yeah.
Like I think like weed is the absolute safest.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, because weed, you'll just scare yourself away from everything.
Right. Like the worst you can have is a panic attack, which like, yeah, that's not great. But get some water, take a nap. Yeah. You'll be okay. You know, alcohol, that can go all kinds of wrong.
Yeah.
You know, shrooms, if you get overdosed, you might have a bad time. But in the end of the day, you just go to bed. That's really the solution, is just go to bed.
I don't know, dude, because I can't go to bed. I'll lay there. I'll just lay there. Like
But you're in bed.
Yeah. No, okay, yeah. So I'm always I have a strategy where it's like it's at night and usually I'm by myself. So like I end up in the bed at some point anyway. You know? That's a good place to be, honestly, because you can you really can close yourself off from reality. Like if you were if you were to meditate, you'd probably do it somewhere like a bed or somewhere
somewhere comfy.
I think it's a meditative state that you end up in if you're in the proper space.
Dude, everybody knows that if you're under the blankets, the monsters can't get you.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the truth as old as time, dude.
Mm-hmm. Don't ever leave your feet hanging off the side of the bed.
They might get you.
Yeah.
They might get you. Not saying they will.
They could,
because they probably won't, but they could.
They're there, maybe. I mean, I still think that if I hang my feet off the side of the bed, the monsters might get me.
Yeah.
You know? You're making me think about it. Like, I don't like having my foot hanging off the side of the bed because what if?
You're making me think about it. I'm going to have nightmares tonight. I'm going to need my nightlight. Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, dude. I don't think I'm going to sleep the same now. Because really, it's kind of scary. Just even leaving your foot hanging, your arm hanging off. You ever hear that thing where if you have a friend who's sleeping and you put their hand in water,
yes,
they'll pee themselves? It's a good party trick, guys. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Throwing that out. I wouldn't recommend for you to do drugs. I wouldn't recommend for you to make your friends pee themselves.
I don't know, dude. That's a good recommendation. I recommend that you make your friends piss themselves. That's just good fun.
It's just good fun. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you're going to do that, you got to pick the right guy, right? Pick the guy who would think he might have peed himself. The guy who got really drunk, maybe someone you need revenge on. You don't want to do it to your best bud.
Right.
That's not cool.
You want to be you want to have to break into a person's house late at night, 4 a.m.
That's a prank.
That's a prank.
That's a prank right there.
Breaking and entering, it's just a prank.
Well, as long as you make them pee themselves.
Yeah, right. You're not stealing anything.
No, it's just a silly gag.
Just being silly. What if that's all the Night Stalker was trying to do? Is just prank people to make them piss themselves, and then when they woke up, he didn't know how to handle it. So just fuck.
No, stop. No, you don't get it.
I'm so sorry.
Dude, that'd be a terrible way to become a fucking serial killer. You just constantly, people don't get the joke.
I'm hilarious. You guys are wrong.
I mean, that would be pretty funny.
That's pretty good.
If you did it and you pulled it off, maybe the first 3 times it was funny. You gotta, he's looking from the window as they woke up, and then he watches them.
I mean, you'd have to stalk people and make a profile on people just the same. You have to know their habits. You have to know when they come home. You get their idea of how they go. But how would you select the victims for your break and entering forced piss?
That's a good question. I think you go go diverse, get everybody. Because, you don't want to go for a certain... Maybe, it's like we were saying about, trying new things with comedy. Maybe you think one group's not going to be as funny, and then you start doing, the Indians, and they have the funniest reactions.
What are you doing? Get out of my house. Who
are you?
I did not piss myself. Who are you?
That would be hilarious. I feel like the Indians would be the ones.
I think the Indians could be the funniest people to make piss themselves. Yeah. Sorry, Indians.
Just yesterday or the day before, dude. There's a group of Indians. I'm a server.
Yeah.
There's a group of Indians, and they wanted to. So the hostess comes up to me, and she says to me, "Hey, just to let you know, this guy wants to pay for the party, and he told me he wants to pay for the party." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And so then at the very end, he slips me his card, and it's all right, cool. And I'm walking over, and I'm gonna pay them out. And then the girl comes up to me with this other dude, and she's like, "Are they trying to pay? Are they trying to pay? No, they've been paying for me all day. Please let me pay. Please, please." So I'm like, "All right, I'll let you pay." And so I take the card from the girl, and I let her pay. And then I get them all set up, they're ready to go. And then I walk back. I didn't even want to go and interact with the dude because I didn't know what was going to happen. And so I just gave them the card. I said, "Here's his card," because they knew they were cutting in. So I just gave them his card and all that. And I said, "All right, here you go." And then the girl who was with the other dude, she's like, excuse me, did they just pay?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Why?" And so I quickly walk away. I'm like, oh shit. And then when I go back out there, the dude's like, "Why would you let them pay? I tried to get ahead of it. I told you guys beforehand. I don't understand. I'm just asking you why. That was so disrespectful." And so literally, I'm just like, dude, okay. Oh, dude. Indians are just funny like this. They'll get themselves into situations like
Indians
this.
are just funny.
Like he really cared so much. He cared so passionately. To me, it's like almost comical. So I'm like trying to not take it seriously because the dude's like yelling at me. He's like, ah, nah, nah, nah. So I'm just like, I was trying to prevent this, sir. Like I was trying to prevent this here.
This exact conversation that we're having right now.
That's what I said to him.
You disrespected him by thinking he needs a woman to pay for his food.
Maybe that's what it was. You know what? Maybe because maybe it is like a cultural...
honestly, that's probably what it was.
I didn't even consider that. You know what? That's probably part of it. Because my innocent brain...
You're ignorant. You're not innocent. You're ignorant.
Yeah.
You gotta open yourself up to other cultures,
awareness,
buddy.
Dude. I'm a fucking white male.
You think you can be a white rapper and not consider other cultures?
I know, dude. Trust me, I've heard it all before.
I was gonna say, there's no way you've never heard those allegations.
I've heard those allegations. I don't respect the culture. I don't respect Indians. I don't respect blacks, dude. Fuck.
You heard it here, folks.
It's hard being a white rapper, man. It's hard.
Let's be real. It's hard being white.
It's really hard being white. I'm telling you, you guys don't understand.
You guys don't get our struggle.
I don't know one thing about Indians, and all of a sudden, But for real,
all of a sudden, I did it. I did it.
I'm sorry. I really feel like there's a bunch of things about Indian culture I don't know. I honestly, like, they surprise me sometimes. They really do. Like, there was another Indian table I had once. They took over the TV, and they were just playing their music on the TV. And there was, like, a group of people, like, older white folks under the TV. And they, like, turned the TV was going, like,
yeah.
And they're just, like, trying to talk and chill.
Yes.
And I was just thinking, like, bro, you guys can't do that, bro.
Right. This isn't like this is a public space, but you can't just take over our equipment. Like, come on.
It literally felt like, because that's what the Indian restaurants are like. It's kind of funny to me. Like, when you walk in an Indian restaurant, they have the TV on and it's playing their music. Like, they're probably thinking, like, let's make this more like what we're used to, guys. Like,
let's a fucking party.
And, like, I remember, Mike, I told my manager, like, not even trying to, like rat on them. I was just like, hey, just let you know, pretty sure those Indians just, like, took over that TV over there. You know? And so he goes over to them and he's like, excuse me, like, is that you guys right there? Like, no.
No, you are just playing this Indian music. You're right. This fine establishment, not an Indian restaurant, is playing this Indian music. Who could be playing it?
I told that story to someone else, and they did tell me, like, wouldn't that be a funny prank if you saw a group of Indians
that would be
and you started playing the Indian music just so they would think it was them?
Yes. Okay, now I'm down. Now I like it. Or even if they're doing the bit where they turn it on and they're just like, I don't know.
Well, that's probably what happened, dude.
They're probably not trying to be funny about it, but it is funny.
Yeah, maybe they're actually like, oh shit, we can't do that. We can't do that. I felt so bad for, like, because, like, it was like a family of, like, 3 people, like, like an older woman who, like, maybe was, like, journeying to the city to visit her younger 40-year-old son, and, like, they're all just chilling at the table having a casual time, and then all of a sudden just berated with Indian music, just, like, coming at you from above.
Yeah.
And, they're being polite. Like, what a situation.
All things considered, they're being very polite.
Yeah. Because I was kind of confused at first. I was like, is this someone's phone? Like, and then I looked up.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
And you see, like, Vishnu with, like, fucking, like, all the rings around her. Yeah.
Those music videos are fire. Not gonna lie. They got their style down.
Do you know, are you familiar with, like, Indian or, like, Arab brain rot on social media?
No.
Oh, dude, it's ridiculous.
Is it that? Is it, like, Vishnu?
Yes. It's like something will happen, or there'll be, like, someone who's gonna get run over by an animated train, and then all of a sudden, like, Vishnu or one of their multiple gods will come down, and they'll just be like, and then everything is okay. And then there's a rainbow and sunshine, and it's like, God bless whatever God,
Hell yeah.
I
like that.
It's great. It's great.
That's good brain rot. I mean, it's silly. It's silly, but it's easily reproducible. Like, honestly, maybe I need to start recreating this to, like, get some Hindu fans.
Yeah, your next album or your next like LP's got to have, like, whatever that Muslim prayer song is behind it.
Dude, Muslim rap is a thing.
I know.
It's real.
Yeah.
I have a brother who is, like, super into it, and he will, like, send me songs and try to explain, like, no, dude, Muslim's not what you think, dude.
Well, dude,
I think they turned him Muslim. I think they actually converted him.
The Islamics may be the first people who ever, like, fucked around with poetry.
Yeah, and like he said to me, like that it's all about questioning things, and it's all about like that. Like, and I think poetry at its truest essence is that. It is like questioning and being big in your thinking. You know, like those things line up. To think big and to think metaphysically, even to think in a metaphysical sense, is poetic. When you can paint a picture.
Yeah, it is very poetic to think that you should have 10 wives.
Sure, man.
It's
that's what you're into. That's poetry in motion.
Poetry in motion, brother.
There's dude. I mean, I don't know. I think like it's probably just like Christianity, where it's like obviously there's crazy ass shit in there, but like when it comes to the most basic tenets of it, there's core principles.
Yeah,
of course everyone can respect.
That's how I feel about theology in general.
Exactly.
Like every religion absolutely has value because it sets a moral structure. Like if you look to societies before there was like religion, we were all just killing each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even like Norse mythology is all about battle. You know, the only way you're getting to Valhalla is if you die in battle. What does that require? Constantly being like at war with other nations. And then like the Abrahamic religions came around and started to be like, you know, we should be nice. And then like Buddhism came around. It's like, yeah, we should be nice.
Yeah.
You know, and these ideas started to kind of just be like, oh no, we should like treat people good. You know, like that's in everybody's best interest. And I don't know, without religion, I think it's really hard to say that we would have ended up there because we're just animals at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, but in a way, like, I don't think religion is the same thing that it was even like 300, 500 years ago. Like that's kind of I think that's a big problem with society now is that like we've lost religion and now we search for meaning in other things. Well, not that like you need religion and religion's the end all be all, but just that it provides, like you said, the moral guidelines for good living. Like, and generally speaking, it is like striving upwards and it is like being good to others. Those are like usually the general tenets of all those Abrahamic religions or even Buddhism. It's like just experience life, just live in this moment right now, like things like that. Those are good things to keep in mind.
Right.
And if you have none of that and you just think completely like everything is nihilistic, then that will bring you to this reality where it's like
right. But I think
matters.
Also with the access to information that we have and the access to different people's perspectives and everything, like with the internet and everything nowadays, nihilism is super easy to fall into.
Yes.
You know, because it kind of goes back to like it's an argument you hear with like the idea of God or like even with the like simulation theory of like when something shitty happens to you, why would someone make that happen to me? You know, why would someone program this for my life? Or why would someone make me have to go through this if it's for the best? Because a lot of people live really shitty lives. You know, why would there be child workers in fucking Ghana to get my cobalt for my smartphone? You know?
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to have that disconnection. But in the end of the day, what all of the religion is just saying is that there is a common connecting factor between every fucking person and everything in the world. You know, it all comes together and we all should treat people better, but maybe there's not a grand deity that's guiding everything.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think it's more like The Sims, where it's like there's something that'll just every now and then it'll click on you. It'll give you like, you're horny, go jack off. You want a sandwich right now, you know? Or it'll just like, I think it would be funny if you got in a car crash and you ruined your next month of like finances. That'd be cool. I don't necessarily think that it's like this all-knowing, all good thing, you know? I just think it is.
Interesting. I mean,
but I'm retarded.
Yeah, keep in mind we're both idiots.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
Please don't take anything we say seriously.
Yeah.
What I say we were before, psychedelic gurus.
Yes.
Right? Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
At all times. But yeah, like I think about it like okay, so God would probably be like an abstract understanding of like, if I was to place life outside of me, if I was to say that life exists outside of the boundaries of my mind, and perhaps we're all tapping into something that is life, that would be God. Like there is an abstract thing that is the objective goodness, or at least the objective thing that projects this onto us, that would be God. And so like in that would make sense what you just said, where it's like, okay, so then you have like God, but then you have like people who just kind of like, you know, are like God's little henchmen who just send some shit at people. Like it could be like that, you know? You got like really it's all, I think about it like, it's all so anthropomorphic the way that humans understand any of that in the first place. Like, of course, we would tell stories and we would try to make sense of this because we're like the first thing that has any self-awareness at all. So of course you're going to try to like make up some grand reason for there to be all this shit and for you to understand what's going on. But in that same vein, like that's the same argument you would say, like you are invented to do that because you're the only thing with awareness. So why do you have awareness? Because you have God, like whatever it is.
Right.
You could look at it that way. It's either or.
I was made in this divine image.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
but
then
you
like,
start
but
to
then
learn
people
about
look
like
at God like a human. Like, why would God be a human? Why do you think that?
right.
Like, what makes you think God would be shaped like a human?
Right.
Why? There's no reason to think that. Like, God's not even a person. He's a thing way up there.
It's completely abstract.
Yes.
Completely abstract.
And so I think like that's like when you know, Jordan Peterson got huge because that's what he was doing, is he was breaking down Bible stories into like principles outside of the stories. And really, if you want to look at that stuff and try to understand it, I think that's the correct approach. Is you look at it like it's not meant to be literal, and it never was.
Right.
They were never trying to literally tell you this is what happened. It's just that when all these other ways of thinking come around and we develop sciences and we develop all this, you know, Western way of thinking that we have now across most of the world, like where it's everything is, I mean, really it's like the Renaissance is when all that blows up, but that starts in like the 0 to 500, 500 to 1,000. That's when like medicine and all that shit gets invented.
Right.
So when we do that, then we start looking at all the religion literally, and that's when all that shifts.
Right.
Because now
Right.
we're thinking, well, this couldn't.
Well, and again, the
raised from the
access-
dead. That's not possible. Jesus ain't no zombie.
Right. Well, and the access to information, because like
Yes,
before
exactly.
then, like most people only ever heard about like religious literature from like their priests or their pastors. No one knew how to read.
Dude, books weren't even a thing until like again, I think the mid 500s,
Right.
600, 800, like the printing press. When was that? Like not even that long ago.
Right. Well, and then again, like we were talking about medicine, it's like who the fuck was I thinking about? There's this president who not Lincoln, but someone who got shot in like the gut or the chest, where he could have lived if there was today's modern medicine. This was 80 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, not even like at most it was like a century ago, because I think it was like prior to the Great Depression. Yeah, because I know most of the like post-Depression presidents. I'm a bit of a history nerd, but like whatever.
I've wanted to learn my presidents, man.
Dude, there's a good there's a podcast between Louis C.K. and Shane Gillis,
Shane
dude.
Gillis,
it's like 9 hours.
I've listened to it. I've listened to all of it.
It's so good. It's so good.
Like it's funny because literally again when I was scrolling just yesterday, I saw that clip where on my way home last night I saw it. It's funny that you mentioned that. It was Louis C.K. Shane Gillis is saying you're gonna hear the rest on Patreon. And Louis like, why would you charge for this?
Yeah.
Yeah. The clip had like 35,000 likes. I was like, what? Like that, I remember seeing it on YouTube and seeing the same shit in the comments. Like, thank God for Louis C.K.
Right. He just bullied Shane out of like making it private.
Because that's like that's probably one of the most popular things they ever even produced on that channel.
Yeah.
I think is that.
Yeah.
And it's fucking Louis C.K., dude. Why? It's so. That's my whole idea in general. Is I think I align with Louis C.K. on that. Like, you're gonna put ads on it. You're gonna do all that. Don't just with a Patreon. Don't fucking lock so much shit behind a Patreon with guests. Like fucking, you should be putting that out to everybody.
Right.
People want to see that.
Right.
It doesn't even make sense to hide it away. Like a lot of the stuff that ends up on Patreon. Like put other stuff on Patreon. Like don't
Right.
put the show on Patreon. It's like 3 hours. Like you could just have that available.
Right.
But like Yeah, that stuff was a miracle. It's amazing that almost didn't get seen. It would have literally cut the distribution down by like probably 99%.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I love Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast. This is one of my favorite all-time podcasts. They're wonderful dickheads. But like, I'm not paying.
No.
I'm not paying.
No.
You know?
It would take a lot. It would take a lot.
Yeah.
They're one of the most successful Patreons, though. Like when it comes down to it, it's crazy.
I think 2 years ago they were the #1 Patreon.
Yup.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's why I always tell like anybody, like, if you can come up with a way to justify it, to do it, because it is like the way that hip hop, comedy, like, you're not making money off of the actual thing you're doing. You're finding other ways to make money most of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I guess comedy is the same way, but it's like, especially nowadays, where like the special is almost like, and I've only heard this, but like it's almost just an advertisement for what you do.
Which you would never, it seems counterintuitive.
Well, because it used to be like the special was this huge deal that you got paid, and like every time it got aired or like you would get the royalties from it being bought. And like you still do, but now it's like you use the special to be like, here's an hour of my work. I can tour from sending you this hour to do like bigger venues.
Interesting.
And if the special shows, like if you get people who are like millions of views, millions of likes on a special, you're going to get a good turnout at like a 500 seat room, you know?
Because the YouTube specials now. You can just put it out on YouTube. You don't have to go through a distributor and do all this other stuff.
Right.
I mean, who was the first one who... Was it Shane Gillis?
Shane Gillis is one of the first ones that got big.
Brendan Schaub.
Oh, yeah.
Was that YouTube? I can't
He
remember.
did on Netflix.
Okay.
I think he did on Netflix special, but then for sure he did YouTube, but walk me to my trug.
I love my Schaubs. I love my Schaubisms. We'll have Schaub in here. He can explain himself to the people.
Yeah.
Say, explain yourself.
You can get Schaub for sure.
I know, dude. Maybe I got to get on it. Schaub in here next week. You know?
Yeah.
Now might be the time. Strike while the iron's hot.
You got to strike, dude. You got to strike.
But yeah, him. But I'm trying to think of other people. I know Dan Soder had a big one on YouTube. Really, it's the way. It just seems like the obvious move. If you can especially if you can make it look like a production. If you can, I mean, that's kind of the idea. Is you're selling yourself to these people, especially if they're sending it out. Because I mean, it's kind of a bigger version of how you get booked in the city in the first place.
Right.
It's like rather than sending your minute clip, you're just sending a 30-minute clip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's, I mean, it's interesting that it's an advertisement. I didn't think about it that way. I mean, that's the same thing as like what the podcasts, generally speaking, are.
Oh yeah.
It's just advertising the other
and
thing
like
you're doing.
growing like a cult of personality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The special, it's more about like, oh, this is my material, and this is showing that I'm actually like doing the stand-up. I'm actually doing the damn thing that I'm telling you that I do.
Yeah.
But the comedy is just like slop. Or sorry, not the comedy. The podcast is just slop.
Slop.
You know?
It is. It's AI generated slop.
Yes. We're not real.
We're not even really here
This
right
is
now.
an AI program.
We just talked for 30 seconds and it generated this. I was like, holy shit. We're actually we're playing video games right now is what we're actually doing.
Yeah. Don't fucking tell
Fortnite.
them that, dude.
Playing Fortnite. Check this out, dude.
Oh, shit, dude. This guy's got a grade A gamer chair.
I don't fuck around, dude.
Don't fuck.
But yeah, man. What the fuck was I just saying? I was onto something.
Talking about specials as advertisements?
Oh yeah, just because like, yeah. I mean, I've seen people who do podcasts and that's all they do, and that doesn't really make sense to me. I'm like, well, so you're not like, there's no other thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's not another thing that you're pushing, because it's usually that's the idea. It's like you have a thing and then you. I think podcasts are genius, just because I think when you get to know somebody, you're way more likely to want to support them. I just think there's like something
100%.
smart about
Well,
that.
it's the whole idea of that parasocial relationship.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like, dude, I'm starting now because like I can just feel it like starting to happen, because I've noticed like I'm getting more watch time, blah blah blah. So the last episode I did, shout out Douglas Wandersky, he was like saying a bunch of shit I said in other episodes. And I was like, oh yeah, like, this guy probably knew more about me.
Yeah.
He was coming into this like, I know who this guy is.
Yeah, you got to study, dude. I watched a couple episodes just to be like, what's this going to be, you know?
I mean, I don't even blame him. But it's just funny because, like, it's hard to think about that. Like, they already know who I am.
Right.
Like, they already know. They have a parasocial relationship with me.
Yes.
They watched me talk for 5 hours. They know who I am.
Right.
Whereas, like, I'm just like, fucking dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
Going into it blind.
You bring this person you've seen a couple times at an open mic, you're like, okay, all right, let's see what happens.
And they're like, remember that time that you said? Yeah, dude. I'm like, I feel famous all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But like, it's so strange. It's so strange how that works. You know, people get to know you. Like, they get to know, and you don't know them, but they know you.
Right.
And like, that's become the thing now. Like before, now if you want to be like in the public eye, you have to be that. It didn't used to be like that. It used to be like you can kind of hide away, and there's few people who can break these rules still. But like, generally speaking, to like maintain attention of people, you have to be in their face all the time. It's just like how social media has trained us to be.
Yeah.
Like, and now you see actors appearing on podcasts, which would have never happened before. You know, like, just like the idea of a politician doing a 3-hour interview is crazy. That's happening now.
Right.
That didn't used to happen.
I mean, I think that's so cool.
I think it's cool.
I think that's for the benefit of everybody.
Exactly.
You know?
I think it's all good. Yeah. But it's just odd to see. It's so fucking different, dude, because in a world like 15 years ago, everyone just accepts. We're just getting little snippets of these people. But now it's like, I could watch you talk for 3 hours. I know exactly who you are.
Right.
I prefer that over seeing you talk for 2 minutes and not knowing who you are.
Right.
Just makes more sense.
About like a very produced response about something you know they're going to talk about. You know, you go on fucking Joe Rogan, he's going to hit you with like everything that he can think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, like, so I think it's interesting because, like, Joe Rogan, the way he does his podcast, I really don't think there's other people who do it quite the same. Like, there's a certain essence to how he does it. And I think, like, that's why he's so popular, is because he does this thing where he doesn't, like, really make any judgments. He doesn't really do any of that. And if he does, it's always like he has measured questions to respond to you. He's just good at getting people to talk. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
As simple as that. I think you can't do that many episodes and have it go for that long without doing that.
He is talented at that aspect of what he does.
I think that's what makes him
100%. 100%. I think there's a meme that's like, the Joe Rogan podcast is like someone from the steppes of the Khan, like the Genghis Khan Empire. You're just he's in a studio and he's bringing all these science nerds and being like, you say the sun does not disappear when it goes away at night. Explain this to Joe. Yeah. You know, and it's just all this shit, like, this just fucking, like...
And he just sits there stroking his chin.
Right. You say this, but last guy said this. Do you lie to Joe?
Is there like a 4chan post? I think I saw this.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I saw that because that shit is so funny. It kind of is the show.
Right.
Yeah, but he's a self-proclaimed idiot. That's how you save yourself. You
exactly.
Just say you're an idiot.
You can say anything you want if you just say you're an idiot first.
I mean, I actually think there's something really smart about that. I think it's smarter to say you're an idiot than to say you're smart. The people who think they're smart are actually the idiots.
Yes. You have to give yourself a level of self-awareness.
Yeah.
Because that connects you better to the base.
And I think that's like how you get, again, like the reason he is who he is, that's how you get people to respond to you and you learn more, is you just ask questions and you accept it. You could be wrong. Like, I don't know about this. Maybe they know something I don't know. And then just ask them about it.
It's the idea of like having enough curiosity to overcome your bias.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? It all goes back to that thing where it is like you have to have like a measurement of ego and doubt. It's the same exact thing because you have to know things and you have to be able to know and have a character. You can't just be nothing.
Right.
But you also have to have enough doubt to where you can be like, okay, well,
so you can have a fucking conversation, dude.
Yeah.
And that gets tough. You know what I mean?
I'd rather talk to people I don't agree with. Like, truly.
100%.
I would rather talk to people that I would never think the things they think. So then I can ask them questions. That's all I would want. I'd be like, well, okay.
As long as they're also willing to have a conversation and understand that I am coming from a place of not knowing everything.
I think it's fun. I like, just in general, it's fun to see people that aren't
learning
like
is
you.
fun, you fucking nerd.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, what?
I showed you the Fortnite
Yeah, the
chair.
Fortnite chair.
Fucking nerd, dude. Proudly. A nerd rap's cool. We talked about this.
That was like one of the first things we talked about. Hell yeah, dude. Do you know Daddy Fat Snaps?
No.
Dude, check him out, dude. I don't know if he's the producer or the rapper, but he does all these like just singles of like a different anime rapping about a character.
Hell yeah.
The beats are insane. He does one about like Sun Wukong, that like the monkey from Japanese folklore. It's so good, dude. It's
My
so
man.
good. Check it. Just check it.
That's some nerd shit right
Giving
there.
you homework.
I like that. Like the thing is, like what's fun about doing stuff like that is if you're really a fan and like you could write a great rap. Like if you know what you're doing, you can really write something good. You just get like a bunch of bullet points and you just rap all that shit. Oh, dude.
Yeah, dude.
What's his name again?
Daddy Fat Snaps.
Daddy Fat Snaps.
And fat with PH.
Oh, thank you. That could have went wrong.
It could have went wrong. Suddenly you're just watching like some porn producer.
Sounds like porn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daddy Fat Snaps, dude. But why did I say I was a nerd? Why did you call me a nerd? What was it?
Because you were trying to learn from other people's perspectives.
Yeah, dude. Nerd ass shit right there.
Nerd shit, dude.
Fucking nerd shit, dude. Nerd shit. One thing that I think is fun about this show too is like since I'm a rapper and I'm having a lot of comedians on, I think that there's something weird that happens with those two things. Like I think that those two perspectives weirdly blend in weird ways.
For sure.
Yeah, like
For sure.
Even like what you said about open mics and anybody being able to go and stuff like that. I think comedy and rap are similar in the sense that like it's all about building things and like shaping your idea to this certain format to make people understand the idea and
right.
Getting that idea to come across in a way that it wouldn't come across in conversation.
Right.
But it still communicates and it resonates with them. Like
100%.
all of that is the same.
Dude, and that's like when I talked about like not knowing how to write a joke for 4 months, that's what it was. Is I would come up with something in my head where like that's hilarious. And then I'd just go on stage and be like, isn't this hilarious? And nobody had the context. Nobody had the build up to why I think it's funny.
Right.
It's just like, I think this is funny. Don't you guys think this is funny? And then it's like you have to learn how to set it up, how to actually get people to go where you're trying to go with the topic.
So there's just no structure to it.
There wasn't.
Yeah.
There wasn't. I still certainly fall into that every now and then. But like I said, I think there's value into going on stage and just rambling.
Yeah.
You know, trying to figure out. No, obviously, don't do that at a show. You know, don't do that at something that you're trying to be like good with unless you're at that level. But like go to an open mic and fuck around. Mm-hmm. You know, that's basically, I've got a buddy who's like, one of his jokes is just like, you don't need material. Anybody can do this. You can just come up here and you don't need material. And then he'll just like spaz for like a minute on stage. He's like, see, you don't need material to do this. And I'm like, it's such a good point.
Yeah.
It's such a good point because I feel like a lot of people get really nervous. They get too down on themselves about like having a specific structure right away. And, like, don't get me wrong, going on stage and bombing is never a great thing. But like if you go on stage and you bomb like with a purpose and you can get something out of it, it was worth it.
Like a suicide bomber.
100%.
Yeah.
That's worth it.
You go in with a purpose. Because
I'm getting those virgins.
Yeah. Shout out my Muslims, baby. But for real, like you bombing, like committed to the bomb, even like staying committed. Like I think there's something in the lesson of that, like being in that moment, even like allowing that moment to ride itself out. Because like people will like torture themselves in the middle. Like you can tell it's already going bad, and then they're making it worse. Like they're acknowledging it way too much, and they're like,
or like they try to switch
it.
out. Like say you see this a lot when people try to do like newer material.
Yeah.
When they're like, oh shit, this is going bad. This is going bad. I don't have anything here, and then they switch to material that they've done like a million times. You know, and then they're coming at that stuff with this energy of like, please like me, which you know, it's fair.
Right.
I get it, but like if you're there to try new shit, in some aspect, you're there to bomb. You know, or you're there to not do as well as that joke will be in a couple of mics.
See, it's always so strange to me to think about too. Like, once you're a comedian who tours, you sell tickets, you don't get to go to open mics and train your material anymore. Now you have to go to people who know who you are and
Right.
fail. Like you have to, you're just going to have to do that at some point.
And like I've heard of that. Like I think Mark Norman talks about it a lot, where he tries to do sets every single night,
Yeah.
or else he feels rusty. And some of those times he'll go to like open mics and just be like, yeah, people expect me to be doing like hot material or be making them laugh, but like I'm just trying to do new stuff.
Like he goes to any old open mic.
I don't know his schedule specifically. I don't know Mark Norman.
I
but
wouldn't surprise me if he did. He
Right.
seems like the type of dude who would.
Right. And
Just
if-
him turning up at like the mic down the street.
Right, and you're not going to be on a show every single night.
Yeah.
So obviously, like between your bigger sets, you go hit like this small little shit bar and just be like, whoa, you know?
That's so funny. Like I'm just imagining like people starstruck. Norman's there. It's crazy, and then he just bombs for 5 minutes.
Right.
And they're like, "You're not who we thought you were." Like it's all just fake to them all of a sudden.
Right.
But really,
You
you're just seeing
ruined
him
the
in the
illusion.
trenches, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and I like even like Louis C.K. talks about like with his material, and he's edgy as hell. So he'll come from a place where he's like, please don't record this, please don't do, because this
When he
is
first came back around, there was that leak.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because his whole thing was like, this stuff isn't ready. There's a reason I haven't put it out yet because I'm working on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, him in particular, he'd have to work on it because he really is like, he's one of those tightrope walkers.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And he does it beautifully.
Yeah, yeah, and I think again, like nobody could do it quite like him because it's literally who he is that enables him to do it.
Right. Well, I think that's the biggest thing about being a comic is just like figuring out your energy,
Right.
and figuring out how to best portray that energy through what you're trying to talk about. You know?
Same with hip hop again. It's
Sure.
the same thing.
Sure.
Like because it's figuring out it's that whole finding your voice thing. It's like you'll see people at first where they'll sound like something else, just like people who are influenced by certain comics. They'll sound like certain comics, and you could even pinpoint it. Like if you were, if you knew who
Dude,
they were, it's
early
so easy.
Kendrick, early J. Cole,
Yeah.
fucking even like early Talib Kweli stuff. You know, it's like you could hear the inkling of what they were going to be, but it's nothing near like to Pimp a Butterfly, 2014 Forest Hill, fucking what's that big Talib Kweli album? Doesn't matter. Check him out.
The awesome one.
Yeah, the awesome one. You know.
But
But it took them a while to
changed.
find out that more, and like all three of those guys, in my opinion, almost went from this more like the party-esque hip hop stuff
Yeah.
into this more intellectually complex stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Mac Miller was on that same exact path.
Yeah.
I mean, he had started with all that party rap, and then he was just getting more and more like jazzy even. He had like a whole type, so much instrumentation and stuff was starting to be introduced into his music. I mean, Kendrick with To Pimp a Butterfly is an excellent album.
Thundercat and like, oh God, is it James Clinton, saxophonist? But like anything with Thundercat is just insane.
Yeah.
Bass player. Oh my
Yep.
God, dude. If you haven't checked his like solo albums out, do so. They're incredible.
Yeah, he released one not that long ago. I mean, that one TikTok song got him real popular not
Yeah.
long ago too.
Well, it was hilarious because that song came out like 8 years ago. Like 8 years before it got big, and then it suddenly gets that one sound on TikTok, and it's just like, hell yeah, man. It's like, I love to see it. I love to see it. He deserves all that recognition. He's in like this, he was in this one, not him, but his music was in this one Super Bowl commercial. And it's like, I know his vocal sound, and I know how he filters his bass. So it's just like the second I heard it, I'm just like, yes, dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thundercat. And he's one of those people who can translate that jazzy sound into modern music.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. 'Cause
Right.
that's the art of it, is trying to make that work for like the unsuspecting listener.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's we were talking about this again before the podcast about like the transition from jazz music into hip hop.
Yeah.
Because it all stems from this blanket term of Black American music, where it has this origin of the introduction of like Afro-Cuban rhythmic patterns with Western harmonics and Western instrumentation. And then they take that into like rock and roll. You take that into blues. You take that into like funk music. And then you start doing funk music, you take those samples, you start doing poetry over them. You know, you get the 808s, you get like the drum machines, you add that in, and then all of a sudden you can access that stuff, those harmonics, and then just everybody can, like we were saying, everybody can talk.
Yeah.
And then you get to see who's actually good about putting rhythms and beats together, and then boom, there's rap. You know? And then that takes on this whole like skill tree of genre within rap. You know? So then we have like, again, you get like the Kendricks who do like for free off of To Pimp a Butterfly. It's just a blues. Mm-hmm. It's literally the format of a 12-bar. 12? It's either 12 or 16. But it's a blues. It's the structure of it. And they've got an upright bass. They've got like a saxophone playing shit over it. Like it's the lineage to see like where it came from and where it's going. Baller.
See, I didn't even realize that with that song. It's basically a jazz song. It's not even hip hop.
Right.
Yeah.
And he just raps over it. And you can hear the way he plays with the rhythms and the way he plays with his phrasing. He's going within the structures of that blues. Mm-hmm. So cool.
Yeah. Yes. And that's what hip hop should be doing, is stuff like that, like playing with it and figuring stuff out and like trying. Kendrick's he's one of the few people who like truly does that. He truly like pushes the boundaries with every release and tries to challenge himself and be different than the last thing he did.
Right.
It's hard to reinvent yourself in such a way.
Yeah.
It's just like trying new things with anything else, you know. And he's one thing I've heard him say is like he writes like every day he'll write 16 bars, which is like 32 lines, you know, but that's a great thing to do, just to write all the time.
Right.
All the time. Like even when it's like Mark Norman going to open mics and working his stuff out all the time. You know, you think you're going to get to a point where you don't have to do that, but it's never that. It's always
if you're truly about the craft and you're not just about the results, that's what you're there for.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you have your like, in my opinion, your shitty pop artists who they have like one or two songs that go fucking viral as hell, but they don't challenge anything. They're just kind of plain Jane songs that are going to be forgotten about in 10 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's kind of like what you said about a skill tree. That's a good way to look at it. Like there's people
trees.
who aren't as good. But I mean, like the thing is the skill tree doesn't scale to success. That's the problem.
100%. 100%.
It's not exactly like, it's not like you're more skilled and all of a sudden you're more successful.
Right.
Yeah. The skill tree is just there.
Right.
It's just part of it.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a factor in that other equation.
Well, it's like, you know, modern jazz artists. Like, yeah, you have your Wynton Marsalis. You have like your A-league of fucking jazz musicians who like the layman may know and recognize. None of them are nearly as popular as Taylor Swift.
Right. Yes. But in the end, like, it's whatever. I think like it's like it's the minor wins, like those moments along the way that it really ends up being about, not like whatever that idealized, I'm going to be Taylor Swift. That's never going to happen for most people. It's better to not be. It's better to be whatever the fuck you are, you know, like comparison is the thief of joy. That's a fun
Absolutely.
one. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, it goes back to being your most authentic self as an artist.
Yeah. And like, you know, I think like the best way you could ever look at it is just to look at looking at your older stuff, like just to compare yourself to yourself, because then you're constantly just thinking, how could I be better? And then you get better. And then all of a sudden you just start getting better. Yeah. There's like, and like, it's interesting the ways you would get better, you know? Like there's always different shit you could do that you just haven't done yet. That's the fun part, is figuring out like the other stuff you could do. It's like there's layers to everything, you know?
Yeah.
Like you just start peeling back more and more layers.
Yeah.
You never get to the bottom of it.
I think one of my favorite examples of that is like, again, back to jazz music, Miles Davis. Like 3 different times in his musical career, he was the head of a different direction of the genre.
Really?
You know, when he was young, like he started playing with Charlie Parker when he was 17 years old.
Yeah.
Like he went to Juilliard on like a scholarship, played there for a little bit, and then went and saw Bird, and then Bird just took him and was like, we're going to tour. You're my new guy. And so he was like one of the like pushing factors for like bebop for a second. And then people were saying that he's too much. He's just like trying to be Dizzy Gillespie. And that's just Dizzy Gillespie just set the standard. you know?
Okay.
And so after that, he was like, okay, I'm going to do something completely different. And he made cool jazz, which is a very like West Coast shit. We didn't make it, but he like did a lot to push the boundaries within cool jazz. And then a couple years later, he makes Bitches Brew, which is just this crazy out there funk oriented like fusion record.
Okay.
It's very obscure, but Bitches Brew is a great record.
Great name.
Great name. But
Double B's.
Then he was a pioneer for fusion, which is like funk oriented and shit like that. And it's like 3 different times in this guy's career, he was just like, okay, what can I do different? What can I do different to set myself apart and to explore different aspects of this genre?
And that, wow. And in that, he probably innovated the genre itself.
A bunch.
Yeah.
A bunch. He is literally, you can ask like anybody, maybe not anybody, but if you ask someone on the street, Miles Davis is a name that most people may know.
Yeah. That's interesting to even like take different career paths in such a way.
But like even different career paths, but within the same art, within the same idea.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. I mean, like...
And I think you don't see that a lot with like comedians. Like I can't off the top of my head think of anybody that like they were doing raunchy comedy their whole time and then all of a sudden they switched to clean comedy. You know?
Yeah.
Or even like vice versa. Someone doing like very squeaky clean and then just being like this raunchy comedian. You know?
Or even like, and other things, like somebody being the type of person who's like always being wacky and silly, and then all of a sudden they're doing dark comedy.
Right.
You know, just like changing their whole thing. Yeah.
Right. Or trying to go from like goofiness into like real world political stuff or like things like that, you know?
Yeah. But there's so much. Yeah. You know what? If there was more of that, that would be so much better. I mean, again, like Kaufman, he was one of those people you never knew what he was going to do. He's, again, like one of the... He's just he's so ahead of his time. It's crazy. Like what he did then, you could still do now, and he's just genius.
Yeah,
you can go out and say you're gonna fight girls now. You're gonna get a big reaction. But I mean, like to the point where people thought he faked his death with just how much he would mess with people, how much he would play with expectations. You know, you never knew if what he was doing was real or wasn't, and like what was the joke and what wasn't the joke, and like. There's just something about like being able to understand the audience. Like you have to know a certain amount to even be able to do that. To like, okay, they're expecting this, so I'm not going to give them that, you know? And
right.
If you just always do the thing that you know works, you never find new things. That's the other part of it. There's always something else you can find in there, you know? Like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that was possible.
Right. No, it's a cool thing to think about.
Yeah, like you just realize you can twerk all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You know?
New skills, dude. New skills.
Yeah.
It's all skill trees.
I just popped my ass out on stage, and all of a sudden, dude, I'm at the top of that skill tree.
A master twerker.
Master twerker. Yo, the twerking white rapper. That could actually send me to the heavens if I could just properly throw that thing.
Throw that thing around, dude? I don't know. You got a donk?
No.
No.
I've been teased about this. Maybe if I, like, how do you get a donk? I don't want injections. I don't want to do surgery. I want to know how to do it.
Yeah. So, actually, I'm a great person to ask about this. I'm a donk master. You know what I mean? It's going to take a lot of squats,
Okay.
a lot of deadlifts. You're going to have to eat, you know?
What do I eat? Is there something in particular I should be eating?
Protein in general, but like to gain mass, regardless of if it's fat or if it's muscle tissue, you need to be either in a caloric maintenance or a caloric surplus. That's the only way to do it.
Which I achieve by?
Eating more.
Just eating more in general.
So if you have, like, let's say like throughout your daily activity, whatever you do, you burn like 1,600 calories just to stay alive. Anything above that 1,600 calories is a caloric surplus. So you will start to put on mass
I see.
from there. Now, if it's too far above the maintenance, like usually about like 200 to 500 is like where people want to sit on a caloric surplus, so they don't gain too much fat too quickly. But as long as you're within reasonable, like, yeah, it's doable.
I want it all to go to my ass, though.
There's no such thing as like spot increase or reduction. your best bet would just be to start doing a lot of leg exercises, a lot of squats, a lot of lunges, a lot of fucking deadlifts and shit like that.
Just focus on my ass.
Just focus on your ass.
Yeah. Okay.
Go watch like booty Instagram models.
Dude, I could watch those yoga videos where it's
yoga won't do it.
No, but I mean, okay, well, not yoga, but
the ladies in yoga pants.
Yeah, see, that's why I said that.
100%.
The hot chicks working out.
Yes.
You know? She's like, it's like hip hop, and she's like, spread those things, flop it around now, and I'm just doing it with her.
Yeah, but a lot of that, see, that's. I'm I told you for my job, I work at a chiropractic clinic. I'm essentially a physical therapist. The title is rehab specialist.
Oh, I did ask the right guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. I've been like working out since I was like, I don't know, middle school.
Yeah.
Like, and it's always just been something that I've been like, okay at.
Working out?
Well, yeah, because like I've always been a bigger guy.
Yeah.
I've always had like a high food drive. So like I was a fat little kid. When I found out that I could use my ability to eat to gain muscle, I was like, oh, dude, hell yeah. We're just gonna lift weights. You've
been saying caloric intake ever since.
Yes, dude. I've been either in a caloric maintenance or a caloric surplus for the better part of 10 years.
Hell yeah.
I've cut maybe 3 times where you like intentionally lose weight.
Right, like cutting, like when a fighter cuts, like when they say cutting weight.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So I know a thing or two.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's some valuable knowledge because I mean, if you know, I mean, there's also a danger to it because once you know too much, you're probably always thinking about it. Like
a little
every
bit.
time you eat, you're probably thinking like, okay, how many calories is this?
See, I don't worry about specific calories. I'm just like, what's my protein content?
Oh, really?
And then beyond that, it's like, what do I want to eat?
I've heard it said that like protein is one of the most important things when it comes to like just how much you consume a day.
When it comes to satiety, I think that's how you say that word.
Yeah.
How satiated you're going to be. Protein is the biggest factor. And then like micronutrients, vegetables, fruits, shit like that. Because the macronutrient, protein, carbs, fat, shit like that is like the basic blocks of what you're getting. But then micronutrients are like what's actually going to like help your internal systems. People take like vitamins, they eat their vegetables, shit like that. That's why that's important.
But macronutrients do what exactly? Like
so like this is a really interesting turn for the podcast, you know? And 2 hours in, we start getting deep on nutrition. This is so good. No, so like carbohydrates are like your basic energy.
Okay.
So like you do cardiovascular activity, you do a movement that takes some level of fuel to do that movement. Carbohydrates are your most basic structure of energy to take.
Okay.
Now, if you have too many carbs compared to what you do throughout your day, you store that as fat, excess energy. Then there's a certain amount of fat you need because that helps with hormones and God, I don't fucking know.
Well, this is like what we were talking about with my ass.
With your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, we're still talking about your ass, Reese.
I didn't forget.
And then protein is like biggest thing that's going to help satiating you for a meal, and then it's going to do everything to like rebuild muscle structures.
Oh. Okay.
So if you're tearing yourself down, if you're doing your exercises, protein is what you need to recover from those exercises. There's probably more benefit to it than that, but from somebody who has a jazz degree, that's what you're getting.
You don't have you ever get, you got a real education, I'm sure, in if you're a physical therapist. Did you ever? No?
Nope.
None of it?
None of it.
Just let you in?
Like I said, I went to school for jazz. I was working in a kitchen at the time, and there was a gym I was going to. Like I had been thinking about like I could teach people how to work out. I could be a fucking physical trainer. That'd be no problem. And the gym I was going to was like specifically looking for personal trainers. And I was like, well, fuck it. This is like a little downtown, like mom and pop gym. I just asked them, it's like, do you guys need a personal trainer? And they're like, yeah, that'd be great. So I stepped in there, started learning like how to teach people and stuff like that. And again, I've been working out for a long time. Like I've been on the subreddits. I've been on the 4chan threads about like different styles of working out.
When you asked them though, like, did they ask about prior experience, or like, did they at least like ask you anything? Like, what do you know?
They knew me.
Oh.
Because I had been going to the gym for a while, and they like saw my workouts. They saw like me talking to people and me like helping other people and shit like that. So they were like, oh yeah, this guy. And like I had talked to like one of the, she was the owner's daughter, but she like was the main manager at the time. It was fucky, dude. The whole gym, like the owner didn't give a fuck about it. He didn't care at all. He only bought the place because his daughter wanted it. And then after 2 years of his daughter working there, she moved to Ohio. So then it was like, by the time I got hired by his daughter, so then when I was still working there, I had ended up being the head trainer.
Yeah.
Because I was just there. You know, it was a college town. So a lot of people would come in from the athletics program, and then when they graduated, they just left. It was like a 1 or 2 year job. So I was in the town for like three-ish years. So by the end of my time there, I ran most of the classes. I had most of the one-on-one clients. And then I moved to the city, and I knew a guy who worked for the company I work for now. And he just vouched for me. He was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. He knows about bracing. He knows about recovery and rehab strategies. And they, like, normally the company I work for does like 2 interviews before they hire somebody. They did 4 interviews with me. And they just questioned me, and they just like were like, well, this, then this. Like, what would you do? And I just talked. I just talked him into hiring me. And now the crazy part is, like, I've worked for this company for a little over a year and a half, and I've worked for 15 different clinics within my time at the company. Every chiropractor I've worked under has told me that, like, I'm the best rehab specialist they've ever worked with, and I did not go to school for this. A lot of imposter syndrome around that, but it's like, it's not even imposter syndrome. I didn't go to school for it. I shouldn't have the job that I do.
Yeah. I mean, how did you learn all of it then? Like, was it from just like learning about that stuff because you were interested in exercise before?
Yeah,
it just all accumulated over time?
Exactly.
Huh.
Exactly.
So you never, like, there was never a moment when, I imagine when you were going to get that job, at least, you maybe like crammed a little bit, you tried to study a little bit.
Not even.
Learn? No?
Not even.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, I think I know what I'm talking about. And it was like,
Apparently you did.
Yeah. Like, I remember there were times, because I've never taken an anatomy class. Never once. So there'd be times like in the training process they'd say like a very specific, like infraspinatus. I still don't know what that is. It's some muscle in the shoulder blade that comes like under the shoulder and up through the front. I don't know. I know that there's movements I can do to get you to stabilize and work that. But I couldn't tell you specifically what something is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's
it's
okay.
like I have like a real world application knowledge about all this shit that a lot of the people in my company don't, because they never worked out. They just went to school. So they know like the specific terms and the theories, but I'm like, no, you do this and then you do this and you'll get better. And it works.
Right. Right. I was at the gym one time and some dude came up to me and he gave me like 2 pieces of advice that helped me so much. And it was just one dude who, like, he showed me some picture, like he used to go to, like, he was 60, 65. He's still looking pretty good.
Dude,
he showed me
old
this
guys-
picture of him when he was 20.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that was you, dude?
Yeah.
And he's telling me, I worked
guys-
out 3-4 times a week. I did exactly what I just told you.
Old guys who are still in the gym have, like, some of them are trash. Some of them are just old heads who just go in there and they like, swing their arms around for some curls and they're out.
Yeah.
But like, if you guys see an old guy who's training hard, ask him the questions.
He knows.
Ask him the questions. He's got esoteric knowledge, you know?
He's this modern sage, dude.
Yes.
That guy knows.
Talk about a fucking shaman, dude. That's who you go to.
Yeah. I mean, because, like, there's so much shit. Like, if he's still buff, too, if like he's 60, 65, he's still looking good.
Yeah.
Like, there's some way he got there.
Dude, there was, at that gym I was telling you about, there was this guy who, like, when he was younger, he worked for, like, the Secret Service. And he would just tell you stories, and he would leave out all the specifics so he could tell you the story. And I'm just like, dude, you're the nicest guy I've ever met. Why did you just tell me about how you just raided a town and killed, like, 5 people? Like, who are you? And you'd see him, like, doing all these, like neck exercises against a band and, like, fucking, like, single arm carries and, like, pull-ups. It's like, what? You're the sweetest old man.
I mean, like, dude, he probably don't even know his real name. It probably was like some crazy shit.
Yeah.
There. Like he couldn't tell people. I mean, now if he was Secret Service, you say that's what it was. They would raid villages, is what he was.
Not village, like he was, because he was in the Middle East during like the 80s and 90s, like all that Bush administration fuckery.
Yeah.
So like he would have to go into towns and like protect certain people, and he would be like in a place like handing out water, and some kid would come up and he'd like be holding a child, and then all of a sudden a bomb goes off like 2 blocks away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the shit.
That's probably what makes him such a nice guy, though, is that he experienced all of that.
Yeah.
That's
Perspective.
Yeah. Either it breaks you or it makes you, you know? Like, all of that's going to do something to you.
Yeah.
Most people, it breaks them. He's probably the enlightened one, that man.
He is the enlightened one.
Yeah.
From talking to him, oh, dude. He would always hit me with, like, these one-liners. Like, he was, like, talking to an NPC sometimes, you know? Because he'd have these 5 one-liners that he would consistently just cycle through. And he'd just be like, hell yeah, Vic. Shout out, Vic.
Literally had recycled dialogue like an NPC.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
So good.
Again, that might be that FBI like bot coming out of him, you know?
Man, fucking Manchurian Candidate kind of shit.
Yeah. Like they probably do train them to be like that. Like say 5 things. Don't say anything else. Yeah. Get catchphrases. That's all you can say. I mean, like, but yeah, dude, those guys at the gym with training and all of that. Like, I remember what he told me. It was don't go so like don't try to go fast. Like you don't want to be going fast. You want to take your time with it and like relax your muscles and let it go through. And also when you're on your way down, especially like that's when you're thinking. Like I say, I go all the way up. Now I'm thinking go quickly down. That's like the moment that you go slowly down, because he said about negative resistance and positive resistance, and that's the negative resistance when you're going down.
So it's. You want to get technical in the terms. Concentric is when you're contracting a muscle.
Okay.
And then eccentric is when you're lowering, when you're lengthening the muscle. So you generally have about 2/3 2/3 greater strength lowering something, controlling something down than you do on the concentric. You can lower something easier than you can pick it up.
Yeah.
That's just pretty common sense. But if you aren't being diligent about control on the eccentric, you're losing out on neuromuscular connection. So mind-muscle connection, the idea of controlling a specific thing, you know?
Right. Like the motor cortex, whatever.
The motor
the
pattern.
fact that I am the one that's in control as I do this, rather than just letting
and
it
like
fall.
where is this control coming from?
Yeah.
You know, and that's big. That's big. You want to control your meat vehicle? That's the whole thing.
That's what you're doing. I mean, because like nowadays, I'm sure more and more you see people who like naturally. I mean, dude, fucking even when I do this, I have to like force myself to sit upright.
Yeah.
Because like I'm naturally inclined to do this and lean into it, and like everybody on their phone all the time, and you're
on
leaning
the phone,
like this.
over desks, writing stuff. Like the human body was not made to sit in one place.
No,
But
you're supposed to be walking at least.
The further we get into this more like internet integrated society, we are just stuck. You know? So finding ways to move and to control these motions and not be afraid of your body, that's huge.
I mean,
that's huge.
That's what always attracted me to exercise. Was like I feel like there's something even like meditative and therapeutic about just using your body, and I'm sure it's exactly that it's built into your DNA to do so.
Right.
You're not supposed to be sitting around and not doing shit. Like you're literally like that's not how you would survive in a nature setting.
we were hunter gatherers.
Yeah, you have to
what I
find
mean?
shit. Like you have to get up and go now, or else.
Right. We didn't get agriculture for a long time.
Yes.
You know?
I mean, dude, all of that's so crazy to think about, because like we're truly in a world that we were never adapted to. Like the acceleration of technology and everything. 500 years ago, we were the same exact thing. 2,000 years ago, we were pretty much the same exact thing.
Right.
But the world that we're surrounded by is so astronomically different that you just see all of this drama play out because we actually weren't built for this.
Dude, 100%. 100%. Technology will always move faster than us. I think it's an interesting theory to think about, like, people talk about conspiracies about the pyramids and shit like that, where it's like, oh yeah, we had these greater technologies, but we got to a point where they were too advanced for us.
Yeah.
And then some shit happened where now we are set back to zero.
That's always a fun one.
It's a fun one.
Shout out Graham Hancock, boy.
Hell yeah.
Graham Hancock and what is the other one? Russell.
Or he? No, that's a power lifter. Fuck. Russell Brand.
Not really. Yeah. He probably said something cool about the Earth, but not Russell Brand. I'll find it in like 2 seconds.
For sure. You're talking about an actual like pseudoscience guy, not just some comedian.
Yeah. I'm talking because he was on with Graham Hancock. Randall Carlson, I think is what it is.
Okay.
I don't want to get this wrong. I want to get it right. I'm going to get it right in 5, 4, 3. Randall Carlson, that's what it is. But he's like him. He actually like makes Graham Hancock make a lot more sense to me. But this is all that. It's all that. If you've ever seen it, you probably know who they are. I mean, they're like the people who are really pushing that whole. It's like the younger Dryas thing, and that there was one major cataclysm that we don't know about that reset everything.
Which is, again, it's a fun theory.
It's a fun theory.
But I like we were talking about earlier, I think it's important to approach that with, I don't know. Exactly.
Well, the problem is, so here's the problem, is you have an obvious, it's almost like the people like Graham Hancock and Russell Brand, the reason that those guys are the way that they are is because they kind of have a non-deniable argument. Like, as long as they can continue to say that this happened and no one can prove it didn't happen, it's like, yeah, but wouldn't there be more evidence if that were to have happened? Maybe, but it's like they would say then, no, the cataclysm was so big that it wiped away all the evidence. You can't really say they're wrong because there's no way to really prove them wrong. It's kind of almost like religion. It's like saying, there's a God. You can't prove there's not a God to me, so there's a God. Like, if I just start with that big claim that's almost non-deniable, then everything else I say just falls into, did you believe me in the first place or not?
It's all an argument of faith.
Yes.
All of it is an argument of faith.
And then that's why it's a problem, because I only care about stuff that like is objectively true. Like, you could verify it. You could show me the evidence.
Objectively, like, observable.
Yes.
You know
that's
what I mean?
how we know. And then you get into the issue where it's also the case that the people in the science side of it, the people who are actually in this industry that make these claims that we know exactly what happened, are know-it-alls, and they think they know everything about everything, and they act like that, and they act like towards these people there's no curiosity, there's no acceptance, it's all so condescending. They don't even want to acknowledge these guys, and when they do, they act like it's, and it makes them look worse. And it makes me think, from someone on the outside looking in, maybe you guys don't know everything, and maybe this other guy is right, because you're not going to investigate any of his claims.
Exactly. Anytime someone completely dismisses another argument, you're like, oh, well, you either haven't seriously considered the possibility of this, or your head's so far up your own ass that, like, you don't care.
Yeah. And usually what happens is, like, it was a big episode, it was a fun, like, it reminded me of the classic JRE, like Joe Rogan, when he would just bring on it would be archaeological, like, because really the younger Dryas thing probably got a lot of publicity because of Joe Rogan himself.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
He's a big promoter of that theory. But and Graham Hancock, I didn't realize this, but he's actually so closely tied to Joe Rogan. Like, he's one of the first big guests that was ever on that show. But it was Graham Hancock and a guy named Flint Dibble, and it was like
it's a good name.
It's a great name.
Flint Dibble,
an archaeologist named Flint Dibble.
Dibble, oh man,
it's like straight out of Jurassic Park.
Yes,
not Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones. It's like literally from a movie. And Flint Dibble, it was exactly what I just described. It was like he looked at Graham Hancock, and he obviously looked down upon him. Graham Hancock obviously didn't like Flint Dibble, and then that plays out for a few hours. But it never is really like there's never a solid claim made that makes it sound like everything Graham Hancock has to be wrong. And it also comes out throughout that you see Flint Dibble thinks he knows, and he thinks Graham Hancock's kind of an idiot. Like, you can tell by the way he's acting. And also, he, like, called him a Nazi in some article not that long before. Like, why'd you call him a Nazi? He's like, no, I didn't. But it's like, yeah, you called him a Nazi, dude.
Right.
So
I swear I didn't. Well, we have the article right here.
they couldn't pull it up. Like, wait, it seems like you're calling him a Nazi. So that's the problem, really. Is, like, it's so much ideology behind it. It's like, dude, in the end, you want to just know the truth. You want to just know, like, what could it possibly be? And it could be anything. But you have so much going into both sides. It's like, it reminds me of UFOs, too. You know, UFOs, you want to know so bad. It's like, is it real? Is it fake? But then there's the whole question of, like, how much of what you're seeing that is real is actually fake, you know, is like people just make, because if there was actual UFOs, there would be misdirection and there would be people who would try to fool you. That probably would be a thing. So there's that. There's also, like, it's just like, dude, I don't know if you've ever seen Sean Ryan's podcast, but he'll have a lot of UFO people on there, UFO whistleblowers. Yeah. And, like, some of them are just so sus, bro. I'm like, there's no way. You're not, this thing's a CIA op, dude. No way. So, and on the other hand, like, you have people who just watch the Discovery, or they just watch the, what is it? Not the Discovery Channel, the History Channel. They watch Ancient Aliens, and they believe every single thing on that show because they want to believe aliens are real. Right. And so, which one is true? Like, is there any truth at all? Who the fuck knows, dude? I want aliens so bad. Yeah. That one drives me crazy.
How did you feel when the government started to, like, confirm UFO sightings?
Again, it's sus. Because it's like, if you guys are doing that, why are you doing that? Like,
right. What are you trying to cover up?
Exactly. Like, what got to the point where you had to start saying that? Because the government, I remember, would have never said that. Now they have, like, disclosure hearings where it's like people from the CIA, FBI going in front of the government saying, this is what I saw, this is what I experienced. Yeah. And it just makes me question all of it. I'm like, okay, like, yeah, but why would they even allow that? Like, what would be the purpose of allowing the public to know this amount of information? You know, and then you hear like the government usually has technology that's at least 30 years, 40 years ahead of what we see. Like, maybe that's what it is. Maybe they finally figured out the UFOs. They finally are going to have our own. We're going to start flying them around. Well, now, like, get used to them.
Especially you see all the shit nowadays about, like, the drones off the coast of the East Coast and all that shit. And nobody's clear on what actually happened there. People of the law enforcement who work there were saying, like, they could see ships off in the distance, and they think that that's where these big ass drones were going back to and taking off from, because that's the big thing they can't figure out. If there's this giant ass drone in the sky, it's got to come from somewhere. Yeah. You know, they don't have the technology to, like, refuel that shit, recharge it in the air. So it's gotta have a landing point.
And they would fly for a super long time too. Right. So not only do they have to charge, but their battery life is fucking, they're flying for hours. Like, drones can't even do that. You get a normal drone, you can't do that. Right. So how do they do that?
Yeah. And again, it may, like we were saying about, like, having technology that's further along. Obviously they do.
Oh, of course.
There's no, they can't just let us know every single thing. That's a security risk. Yes. I don't think they should let us know, you know? No. But when it gets to the point where, like, the public is asking questions, and, like, there's shit about, like, local law enforcement having those claims and seeing what they saw, and then being told by FBI and CIA representatives, just like, don't worry about it.
Yeah. There's one story. I'm not gonna remember the dude's name, but he made a whole documentary about it, and it's this town in South America. I want to say Brazil, where UFO, like, there was apparently a crashed UFO. Some people saw a being, and they looked in the being's eyes, and it communicated something to them through their thoughts. And then, like, I think, like, what they had said that the being communicated was that it was like fear, like it didn't know where it was and it wanted help, like it had crashed and it needed help. And then there was, like, a huge thing where the FBI showed up to the town, and there's a bunch of people who, like, came out and said this did happen. Right. And it's like a whole town was affected by it. The thing went to the hospital, and the hospital was, like, a certain area of the hospital was quarantined or something, and because they didn't know if they could even touch the thing. Yeah. And it's like, that's a verifiable story that did happen. Dude. So I think you can only have so much of that before, you have to come out and say.
And it upsets me to no end. Like, these days, people will be like, anecdotal evidence isn't real evidence. You know what I mean? Like, you've heard that argument.
Everything is ultimately anecdotal if you can't believe any story.
Well, and it's
somebody.
like, I grew up on MLA formatting.
Yeah.
That's a first-person account of what happened.
Exactly, yeah.
That's a primary source. I'm sorry. I was educated to think that way. My bad.
I mean, what else do you need? Like, I don't know what people would... See, the thing about that one in particular is it's a whole town, dude. And even if you go there now, like...
See, what gets fucky is, like... And I get the idea of, like, anecdotal evidence being, like, refutable, is if it's, like, a single person saying one wild thing.
Yeah.
People are crazy. People are attention-seeking, obviously. But if you have enough stories that line up with the same points and line up with the same ideas, there's probably something to that.
Yeah, like, just like the same types of things being seen in the sky for 50 years. Like, where would the... iconography of a flying saucer come from if there was never ever a flying saucer? Like, we just magically happen to see the same thing all the time. It just doesn't even make sense. And like, there are UFOs you'll hear that'll look different, but that is like the classic one. Now it's orbs. Now there's the videos of them too, and the thing that makes it crazy is it can't be like, it could be like a drone. I've heard people claim that it's like a hologram. I've heard people say all sorts of things. Like, maybe it's the fourth dimension entering the third dimension because it seems to go in and out of water at normal speeds. There's so much. Yeah, like there's one, like one of those orbs ones where it would dip into the water and it would go just as fast underwater as it did above the water, which would mean like the resistance of the water is not making a physical difference.
Right.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like, based on our understanding. And that's the shit where it's like, who knows? Like, even if it is super advanced technology, you'd think if we could defy the laws of gravity, one of us would have said it by now. You'd think one of us would have came out and said, by the way, we have anti-gravity devices, so don't fuck with us. You know, you'd probably want to boast about that.
100%.
That's, I mean, dude, and fucking, dude, it's just anecdote, dude, aliens, dude. Like, if I could talk to an alien right now, I think, like, what would I how would I feel? Like, how would I feel if I saw an alien touch down? I would probably pee my pants. I'd probably pee my pants. You
Dude,
know?
I have no idea what kind of shit I would say to an alien. I think, like, at best, I've got to, like, how are you? You know, just trying to be pleasant. You know, just trying to be like, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
You know, hit him with that good old Midwestern pleasantry.
You're like, hi, nice to meet you.
How was your trip? Can I get you a beverage? Do you drink stuff? Do you?
That would be good. That would be good. See, the problem is, like, what does the alien look like? If it's like one of those monsters from The Simpsons, I'd be kind of scared. Like, if it was like shaped like me, like the ones we see in the movies, I'd be all right. If it was like a giant squid monster, I don't know if I would be having that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it also comes like, how are they approaching you? You know, are they approaching you aggressively?
You don't even know what that is. It's an alien.
Exactly.
You don't know what is aggressive.
I think fast is my thing. If you're coming at me too fast, I'm gonna throw hands. You know, that's
that's them being peaceful. Like, in their alien world, that's how they all go.
See, that's a good point. That's a good point. I think I would fuck it up for everybody. Is what I'm saying. I'm trying to be nice, and all of those are just like, fuck you stupid piece of shit.
What did you say? What did you say? Aliens fucking like squiggling.
What do you mean you don't like Dr. Pepper? Fuck you.
Imagine being the person to fuck it up for everybody. That is probably how it would likely go. Like, when the aliens actually finally come down and interact with us, they'll pick the wrong guy, and it'll just all go bad. That's probably how it's gonna go. Like, they'll be like, you know what? It's time. They'll land on the White House lawn, and fucking Trump walks out.
Yeah.
No.
We have nukes. We're fine. You can fuck off.
I don't think you should be here right now, actually. You have a permit? Do you have a permit to park that there? We're suing you. I've been going after aliens for a long time.
Long time. Longer than many others.
You don't scare me a little bit. Bro, Trump would talk shit to an alien.
100%, dude.
He would be like,
100%.
You don't belong here.
This is our country.
This is our world.
Yeah.
This is our world. He'd stand for all of humankind and be like, I guess it's me.
Everyone around the world just like, no.
Everybody's glued to the TV. Like, that would really be a moment for all of humankind. Fucking Trump speaking for the humans.
Oh, man.
You know what's ironic is he probably would be the right guy for the job. He probably is the exact proper representation for the aliens. They're like, we shouldn't be here.
Actually, you're right.
We should go.
fuck.
Oh, well, hey, man. Is there anything you wanted to plug? This comes out in like a month from now. So if there's anything you wanted to mention that, like, or even just like shows that you do, fucking anything, you know. So I guess if we're, well, I feel like this was a good episode. We'll have you back on.
Hell yeah, man.
This is a good spot to, I feel like something happens where it tells you, it's like, oh, that was it. And I think God just tapped me on the shoulder, and I looked over, and God told me that was it.
Yeah,
you know?
we've been through enough different topics to cover. Yeah.
We talked about all the important stuff,
Yeah.
dude.
You talked about building your ass.
Yeah,
I
building
think
my
that's
ass.
the number
I'm
one.
going to do 15 grams of mushrooms today.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about nutrition. I learned a lot about jazz. Learned a lot about myself, and I hope you guys learned a lot about yourselves. All right, so at the end here, we always try to make sure, okay, this is your moment. You can give the people the advice. You know, if you have a message for the children at home, now you can give it to them. You can give them knowledge. But also, the social medias. You tell the people where they can find you. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, you can find me at Kruger.Ryan98 on Instagram. I don't have any shows coming up or nothing, so I can't really plug anything there. Maybe one of these days I'll have a solo podcast going, but as of right now, not much going on. But yeah, and if I can say one thing to the kids at home, don't be afraid to make an ass out of yourself. It's a good thing.
I'll be making an ass out of myself real soon.
Be making an ass for yourself.
Yeah, baby. Just imagine I got a BBL like.
The next time I'm on here, you gotta have like a dump truck, dude. Fucking get that CDL. Get to studying, dude.
That's called follow through, boys and girls. All right, follow your dreams. Make an ass out of yourself, baby.
Damn right.
With that being said, Radio clocking out.
Double down, competition couldn't help him to rock. Missed the whole time, holy fell through the flock. That's an ordinary miracle, wealth to the block. It's a balance in the character that's calm and collect. It's apparent his caricature is lost